All right.
So I guess I'll break away from
Oh, hang on. Let me turn off the VPN real quick.
oh yeah. Okay, so
All right,
I
there we go.
guess today's a little bit. I did switch books on this time, but this one relates to fractional reserve banking. I didn't want to. It's a bit of like a complicated thing because there's so many nuanced pieces to it, but this one little section kind of caught my attention. Under the practice of fractional reserve banking, there is a sense in which a lender can lend out his funds while still enjoying the benefits of holding the money. For example, when a man deposits $100 in his checking account, upon which he earns interest because the bank then lends out $90 to a new borrower. Even though this is a credit transaction, the original depositor still thinks he has $100 in the bank. This is what Mises had in mind when he says that there are credit transactions in which the excuse me, get right mouth here, renun, re, renun, renunciation of the lender results for him in no reduction of satisfaction. Thus, to the extent the bank loans involve unbacked claims to money, that when the total customer deposits exceed the total reserve of actual money in the vaults, the loans constitute circulation credit and the Misesian framework. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty common knowledge to anyone who's looked into how banks work, anyways. I think it's a pretty good thing to bring up. I mean, it's important to remember.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's all I have to say on it. I mean,
Yeah.
do you want to add anything to that?
Um.
Feel free to add your own thing. Don't let me be the only
Oh.
one talking here.
Yeah, but just like that whole section, it particularly pertains to the ideas of like causing business cycles. You know, your boom bust sort of material when banks overlend on their resources and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes into that, and then it starts talking about a little bit more economics materials in the end when you have the if you have someone in a position where they're making decisions based on knowledge that they know, they may not be necessarily making the best and optimal decision relative to the current economy. So that also kind of gets brought up and drawn to attention. And one of the things that definitely gets to reiterate over and over again is that you there's all these like math equations that exist out in the space of you know banking, finance, economics, and everything. However, at the end of the day, it still boils down that people themselves are independent actors in the system, and that not necessarily can a formula wrap around those decisions of an individual and their self determination. What do you think about that?
How does that draw into the banking, though? I don't think they really mentioned that specifically.
Oh, I mean that was like the middle of that particular section. That section, if I read the title, make a little more sense. It was under framework for money and banking under the under the theory of trade cycle was the chapter section. So it kind of goes into a comparison to like the Keynesian style versus the other like economic formula formations that we see. So what else you been up to today?
Work? I mean, you do realize I only got off work like an hour ago, so not exactly like I've been doing very much. I ate a bowl of cereal for dinner.
Oh no.
What's wrong with that?
It kind of sounds sad.
Well, I mean, I had the proper meal during lunch because I wanted something warm after getting back from
Oh, yeah, what
the
time did you do
doctors.
that?
So it was like just before lunch, around 10, 11 o'clock. So I ate my curry during that time. Usually curry would have been my dinner, which to me is a little more of a meal, but you know.
Oh, that's right. I needed more copper sheets. I have no clue what needs to be done next. Right now, the entire
Well,
supply line is kind of
your
on
heavy
its.
modular frames are delayed by regular frames, so, or your heavy modular frames are delayed by the regular modular frames. So, you gotta upgrade those. Aren't you working on
Yes.
like quantum computers or something?
We don't need those just yet. I believe those are needed the next section because we're about to hit where we're hitting the point where I've like gone no further. So this is all new territory for me. I know quantum computers are needed for some of the pods that are hanging around. I should mark the done pods with a color or something, like green. This way I know not to do those anymore or go look at them, as there's quite a number of the pods. Wait, you can do it as a preset? Load preset. Cancel. Cancel. Go over here. Hit this. Save preset. Pod done. Save. Select. Apply. Go over here.
Yeah, I guess I pretty much beat the game
What do you mean?
as far as resources go. We're producing a lot of like everything now, so I think the only thing we need to do is like actually automate the like high tier items. Like base resources are kind of covered now. Although I am tempted to increase it even more.
I think this is at this point where we're starting to run. We're going to start running into more performance issues as we keep expanding in the single areas.
What do you mean? Like computer performance?
Yeah.
You're running into performance issues now?
Not on my end, per se, but the bit of the laggy bits that come from having a large facility in this one spot.
Might be time to upgrade your computer. You know, I hear next month they're coming out with something new.
There's a pod up here that says 4 rotors. I wonder if I got that one or not. I probably got this one. Yeah, I just never hit done on it. Oh, no, I didn't. It's just been sitting here this whole time. Oh, well, it's done now. Huh. That's the most nearest closest pod, and it's just now getting done.
Maybe you were saving it.
Well, now that you mention it, I do have the ability to get the hard drive scanner unlocked for the equipment scanner. If I'm correct, I gotta... go in here. Where was it? No, that was compact coal that it gives me the option for. And then turbo fuel. I know there was a chain to get the scanner, hard drive scanner on the Rigamaroni here, the object scanner. Oh, no, I already have it unlocked. Huh. Alright, then it was turbo fuel then, I guess. You don't want compact coal at this point, do you?
Not really our priority.
Alright. This is silly. The darn thing for turbo fuel requires compact coal to be unlocked, which also requires a hard drive. So for us to get turbo fuel, I need another hard drive.
Nope, that sucks.
You're silly nonsense. Cripple my systems, why don't you? Nut.
Do what?
What?
Did you say?
The object scanner defaults to nut.
Oh.
So every time I have the object scanner out, I just say nut.
Did you restart all the quartz?
It should all be
All the
fixed
refineries?
from the last time.
Okay.
Cancel.
Making sure that's not on the to-do.
Alright, well I guess I'll unlock compact coal so we can get turbo fuel. Unless you want to risk, you know, want to throw the hard drive into the bundle. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm just doing whatever you're doing. How far are we from beating the game? Coming up on nearly 50 hours in this.
We saw the nuclear section after this one.
Yeah, that's true. I can't imagine there's too much more to go after that. But then again, I also don't really know what the end goal is. What is the end goal?
Build,
Maybe like the satellite out or something?
build bigger. Build more complicated and complex factories.
So there is no purpose, basically.
Not currently, no.
Okay, gotcha. I guess they're waiting to get the, or I guess that's what the storylines can end up doing.
Yeah. I guess they'll do something not too dissimilar to what Subnautica did or whatever.
What does Nautica do?
They did a story mode thing where they did it similar to Factorio, where you get to build a giant rocket ship of some kind, and then you get off the planet. That's the goal.
Okay.
So they added like this disease thing you got to worry about at some point. So like the early game, you're kind of free to do whatever, and then when you activate the story mode, then you got to like you get a little bit of agency to do stuff.
Okay. So when were you playing? Because I know you were playing that game ages ago.
I stopped playing like right before the final like story update came out. That's when I stopped playing.
But they did have a little bit of story then when you were playing.
Yes, I was playing when like a lot of the story content was coming out and stuff. But then I kind of stopped because I was like kind of got bored, and then the story stuff kind of started getting uninteresting.
Yeah. I mean, you can only play so much of one game, you know?
Yeah.
I don't really know what to do. I can keep expanding stuff. I don't really want to do the automation, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm thinking tonight's a hard drive hunting night.
I don't really plan on being on too long tonight either. I can go till like, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock or something. We'll see. You gonna be around the weekend after this one?
As far as I know, yes. What do you ask?
I may be coming down to Noonan.
Oh.
I don't know for sure. I got some packages coming down there, so I was thinking swinging by, saying hello to the family. Might drop by your place.
Sure.
Be like the first time I've gone to Noonan since like Thanksgiving. Aside from my grandparents, but you know. The drive is so long, I don't really care to
Do it
go
too
down
often.
there all too often. Yeah, it's really draining because it's like 3 hours total, you know, back and forth. So, not really how I like to spend my weekends, to be honest.
That's understandable. Aren't we supposed to be... Yes, we should be getting sulfur in somewhere. Huh. Yeah, there it is. Oh, we're getting lots of sulfur in. I gotta get that explosives line going.
Is that for blowing up the rocks?
Yeah, and the other stuff that is in the sulfur line of research.
New recipe unlocked.
Yes, we have compact coal now. If you wanted to intercept some sulfur and make compact coal instead of regular coal, you're not using regular coal for anything.
What do you mean we're not using regular? We're using it for all of our generators.
Yeah, compact
And
coal just
steel.
replaces it as an in-place replacement.
Or even steel.
You would just intercept it after that.
What does that mean? Intercept what? The steel or the coal?
No, the coal.
Hmm.
All right. So the unit setup is about to be done here not too long from now. I don't want to go too far because that will just kind of make it annoying to do anything with. So, should I go out exploring or should I go out and expand the oil production? What do you think?
I don't know, just do whatever, man. We could use more power.
Really?
We're kind of hitting 2/3 of our power right now.
All right. I guess I can wait around and do that. Where are my copper? Oh, they're actually starting to back up now. Oh, let's see here. I don't need too much of that. So what do I have? Shit.
Oh, we've got plenty of modular frames. I think that's something we'll have to worry about. At least for like our own personal use. We've got one of those double crates just filled with them. You know how I was talking about the UI thing, right?
You've mentioned UI many times.
I was doing my UI stuff.
Oh, your project stuff?
Yeah. Talking about how I wanted to do like anchoring.
Yeah.
finally got around to actually doing it. And I was thinking, at least I got like half of it done. Still gotta do some more work, but the actual anchoring feature I thought I had to fix, but it turns out I just, you know how I was telling you about how I wrapped everything in a sort of invisible resizer thing? It was like something that goes on top of the control to give you the ability to resize and move things around.
It escapes me, but continue.
Okay, well, I did. I put an invisible thing, and I was telling you about how much of a pain it was, because like if you were clicking that UI element, you'd click the resizer and not the actual element, not like the button or whatever underneath it.
All right.
Even though it was invisible, so visually it looks like you're clicking the button, but you're not. In any case, I realized another detriment to that design, and that was the anchor. Because the thing that goes inside containers is the resizer, not the button. So think of it this way. You create an object, a resizer object, and then you assign that object an UI element. In this case, I'm just using like button as an example. So you assign a button to the resizer, and the resizer gives you the controls to resize that button as you will. You know, if you've done Windows Forms, you get a bunch of little dots that appear around your button that you can click and drag and move to resize things. You with me?
Yes.
So when you put a control, well, first of all, a resizer is also a control. So you can put any control inside of a container. So when you're building your UI, naturally you put in the resizer into the container, and visually it looks like the button's in there as well, even though the button's only inside the resizer, if you could understand that hierarchy. Well, that ended up giving me an issue because anchoring is based on the element directly within the control. So because the button was one layer deeper, the button was behind the resizer, and the resizer was in the container. So the resizer was the thing actually being anchored. It was the thing actually being anchored to the sides and the resizing of the window of the container. So yeah, basically anchoring just looked like it didn't work because you can't actually. The resizer is forced to stay on the button, so you can't really resize the resizer independently, which is what anchoring would do. If you can imagine anchoring something to a container that's being resized, you resize the container, and then whatever's anchored gets resized as you resize the container.
Oh.
Hopefully that makes sense, because that's a pretty simple concept. That's just how anchoring works. So what the container was trying to resize because of anchoring was the resizer that was holding on to the button. And the resizer said, no, it needs to stay in the bounds of the button. It can't really, it's got to stick to it. So visually it looked like nothing was happening when you resized the container. It was like the feature just completely stopped, even though that's what was happening. I figured it out. So basically all I did was I just passed through the anchoring. I was like, don't even, in fact, it's impossible to get a resizer's anchor now. I just made it every time you try to get the resizer's anchor, it gives you the underlying controls anchor. So now no matter what, you get that button anchor and all that. Anyways, it was an interesting little logical problem that I didn't realize was going to be a thing. But there you go.
Huh. I guess my brain's not in that mode where I'm accessing that knowledge space. The knowledge space of someone else's repository. But it's like,
well, it's
I'm thinking of
difficult
things
to
and
explain.
Yeah, it
but
looks
super
like
easy to show.
It's one of those things like I'm thinking of it. It's like, yeah, it sounds familiar. And then it's just like doesn't hit.
Yeah. Well, like I said, because it's sort of like a logical explanation. Things are like, I worded that in a very in order way. So if you weren't paying attention to how the flow of that, It's gonna be like really difficult. So it's a much easier thing to show than it is to explain. It's like 10 seconds to show, 5 minutes to explain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's just been like, you know, the economic things that I read at you, where it's like, if you, just like the one little snips, you know, they kind of sound like they make sense on their own, but then it's like, oh, it actually needs the context of things earlier in it, and then it pieces together better when you have the stuff after it.
I don't know if that really relates to easier seen than explain. I feel like even showing
It's just in
kind
that
of
like that
knowledge
vein
is
where
just
it's
gonna-
like, if you're not follow, if that flow of logic, you know, if you don't have all the other context pieces, it's not obvious like how it works and operates.
I mean, as long as you knew what anchoring and what a container and what a button is, that's all you needed to know. I explained what a resizer was. But I do get what you mean. In some ways, I guess. Is there anything even going to the top floors from the bottom floor? Is everything just self-contained down here?
Rotors are. There's a few things that I have going up, but not much.
Didn't you end up getting rid of that? 'Cause I swear I don't see anything.
It still goes up there.
Wait a second. Ah, okay, yeah, I see the rotors now. I think this is the only thing.
There's just, you just have this guy here just hanging out.
Oh, I changed to the alternate recipe. Didn't need Python. And I mean, cleaning up is a waste of time, so.
Yeah, you better off building a new factory, right?
Yeah, you're just better off leaving it. You know, save the time by not using any of it.
Alright, I was going to address my oil production.
You need to also upgrade the Rigamaroni.
No, it's an art piece now.
No, I mean, it's like all conveyor lift Mark 1s or something.
I'm not
That
worried
needs to
about
be
the
upgraded.
speed. It's about the message.
It needs upgrading. It's already archaic. You're on like twigs and sticks over there, man. You gotta upgrade to steel. Man, I can't wait till February is over. That's where you ask why, but yeah, that's fine.
And then you have the AMD thing you're trying to upgrade with.
Yep. How did the whale tick get in here? Can you kill this whale tick for me? It's in.
I'm not
probably
even
the
over
worst
there.
spot. How did it even get in here? It's on like the second floor in the middle of the factory.
Maybe
It's
spawned
very
in.
literally in the middle. They spawn on our platforms? They shouldn't. Apparently you can shock them when they run away. Problem is, he's in the middle of the factory, so he has nowhere to run away to. You killed him?
I haven't done anything. Once again, not even on that side of the map.
No, that was a question. Is it possible to kill them?
Yeah, got me. I never attempted.
I'm like shocking this thing a million times, and it's just not dying.
You get the sword?
No, I've got a shocky thing.
Oh, you got the old boy. Did maybe
Yeah.
take the car and ram him?
I don't think I can get the car in here. Well, okay, maybe I could. I don't know.
But yeah, the other day I was at work and I was like, all right, kind of feel like wanting to listen to the, you know, Satisfactory soundtrack. You know, it's pretty good. They're kind of calm and chilling. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing the words like recipe, you know, rotor, and things like that. I'm like, I gotta get building.
Addiction.
Oh, I see you have that crack addiction, huh? Well, have you ever thought about stopping? No? Alright. I don't know how I did it, but I ran out of cadarium. Like, the resource I, like, almost never use.
Like, cadarium in your inventory?
The cadarium wire.
What is that noise?
I ran out of concrete? Really? I ran out of the basic stuff, you know?
It helps to have like 50 stacks on you of everything.
Everything. Yeah, it's real annoying to, like, come back and it's like, oh, you know, like those resources that you use all the time, but all of a sudden right now you just ran out of concrete. Things like that. Yeah, you're out of it.
not gonna start conversation or something? What's going on?
Wait, what do you mean?
You're
What?
quiet.
Oh, me? I'm quiet. Yeah, I guess it's one of those things. Like, even though we do this often, we still talk pretty frequently throughout the week. So it's not like there's much to, like, catch up on.
I just realized you're stealing my cables.
Oh yeah,
I
I'm stealing
can't
all the
believe
cables.
I didn't even notice this little conveyor belt.
There is a
Missing
storage
cables
of
away.
cables if you need any.
This isn't even. There's like 0 throughput on these cables. What are you even using these for?
What do you
You
mean?
get like 1 every minute from this line.
If you need cables, use this box. He needs a sign too, but whatever.
Why didn't you just use this then?
Oh, I am. This is just a storage of the surplus. See?
Well, that's what you were stealing from. You're stealing from the surplus.
Now that is a surplus.
Yeah, the one that I'm supplying is the surplus. You're just taking from it.
It's
That's why
mine
the
now,
throughput is
chump.
like god awful. It's like 1 every minute because I think it's just one machine making those cables. But I mean, I guess if you're satisfied with that, all the more power to you.
Oh, hey, concrete. I need some of this. Where do you come from?
So, I watched like my first football game the other week.
Like end to end?
Yeah,
Were you like at somewhere? Or you just like wanted to?
I was.
Yo, you were somebody.
Yeah, I was with somebody.
And I'm like,
My,
you want to
um,
watch football?
Yeah, I was at my grandparents. They were like grandfather's place, and he was like, "Yeah, let's watch football." I don't know anything about football. So he explained it all to me during that playoff. It was like semifinals, Peach Bowl or something. He was like telling me about this guy called I can't remember his first name. It's like Brian Stetson or Brandon Stetson, something like that. Something with a B. Football people would crucify me for not getting that right, but something Stetson. And he was explaining to me how he's like the 4th in the line of people who had the same name, and that he's like tiny compared to the rest of his team, but he's like really good. He's telling me about how so he's like the quarterback for Georgia.
All right.
And apparently he wasn't quarterback up until the quarterback got injured. And this is what my grandfather said. I hadn't verified it. He said that the previous quarterback got injured. Stetson became the quarterback as a temporary replacement, and then he was just so good that he's still the quarterback. He's basically got the job permanently. Which to me, that was vaguely interesting to me. I was like, dang, dude must really be good. Because like, if you've seen any of the pictures, the man's like, compared to all the other football players on his team, dude, he's like, just to give you like an idea, it was like he was 5'5" versus these people who are like 6 foot. Now I don't know that is his actual height, but that was like
The comparison.
exactly that's what it looked like from what I saw. Because the dude, he's probably like our size, and then just everyone else is like 7 foot. I don't know, but like I saw him on several things before we even began the game, before he even explained anything to me, who he was or anything. And I was like, man, that person's like tiny compared to the rest of the team. But he's like really good at throwing the ball, guessing where to throw it, and all of that jazz. So, anywho, yeah, so watched my first football game, learned a little bit about football. Not something that I could say before.
Yeah, that's usually like something you do when you're fairly young. But I guess you wouldn't have been in the position where the parents could have easily taken just you to a football game.
Oh yeah, no way.
I've only ever been to one
You actually
Bengals
been to one?
game. That was much more adamant about sports back in the day. They still watch it and everything, but it's just not like their main flavor to worry about or sit on. It's not like money and
that's-
spit.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I mean, I could say I'd been to a Thrashers game, You know, given that Atlanta gave up its hockey team, that was the Atlanta hockey team back in the day. Been to a few Hawks games.
Now, I still don't know anything about sports, so what the heck is a Hawks game?
Oh, that's basketball.
Okay.
Been to only like one Falcons game ever. So, then a couple
that's
of
actually-
baseball games.
Cumulatively, that's a decent amount.
Baseball is much more like crowd friendly out of all the sports and stuff.
What do you mean crowd friendly?
They're more like because like they'll take a heavier pause in between
okay.
the plays and everything. So like they're more likely to do the heavier pauses so they can what is that? That
Small intermissions.
Yeah, they'll have those intermissions. So they'll do like a little fun thing or something.
Okay, gotcha.
So like that's just a little more friendly to it. Where like, you know, more like football and basketball, like they'd have their commercial breaks and stuff that when you're in person, you obviously get to see a little something or another. Like they'll show like a t-shirt cannon, something, or you know they'll do something fun. But like the baseball ones, like the big one for the Braves is that they have the guy running around the track and like you could challenge the guy, and obviously it's a guy who's like been doing like track and field forever. And so, like, you're obviously not going to beat him unless you also been running track and field.
Yeah. I didn't actually go in person to the football game or anything.
Yeah.
Just to
I mean,
make
you
sure
said you
that
were
was
at
fun.
the grandparents, so.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's still pretty neat. I will say, though, that was like the first time I've seen cable television in like a few years. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase this. The first time I've seen cable television on the TV. And it's an important distinction because, wow, the amount of commercials you see.
That's exactly what I was about to bring up. It's like, yeah, just the other day I was hearing like parents complain about just like the quantity of commercials. It's absurd.
It is. And I'm guessing because the viewership's really dropped off, that it's just like, hey, we need to amp up the commercials or we're going to start losing a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, man, it was so bad. And, the football and everything, this was like, this is a pretty famous football game, I guess, semifinals to like the whole nation or whatever. So, pretty big. So, in other words, they've got tailored commercials that have the name of the football, have the players, all that. So, the commercials were very blended into the game, and half the time I wasn't sure if I was being served a commercial or if it was just like some sort of miscellaneous game stuff.
Huh.
A lot of it was commercials, but they were very well disguised commercials because obviously they were very topical.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we have player yada 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 out here, and we're here to talk about State Farm. Like, what the
Exactly. That's
like
exactly
the
what it
man's
was
out
like.
there on the field right now. I see the referee.
Yeah. I'm like, but is this the game? Is this a commercial?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then all of
anymore.
a sudden, like, oh, there's like some random like CGI there, like a CGI bird comes down and does something. It's like, oh, it is just the advertisement.
Exactly. So that was kind of like, this is very uncomfortable. So, but yeah, that was a thing. That was definitely a thing.
It's kind of fun.
So I guess
how
in
it
like
works
normal
out.
television, I don't know what it would be, but a few years ago, it was at least something like 21 to 23 minutes of like television, and then the remainder 7 to 9 minutes was commercials.
I think it's like 17 minutes of showtime these days or something.
Yeah. That's awful. That is just awful.
You're not even like enjoying a show anymore. You're participating in a commercial break of commercial in that sense.
Basically, yeah. That's just too many.
Yeah, I mean, like even it's not like YouTube's any better. YouTube's gotten significantly worse over the years.
I have yet to notice it, thankfully, but I'm sure
Because of like ad blockers and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I do a lot of watching on my phone when I'm in bed and stuff, which that's a habit that I need to start trying to bust. But still,
man, it's gonna be way nicer.
not having ads, it's just like it's absurdly painful, And it's to some extent like, oh, you should feel bad because so and so is not getting that ad money or whatever. And it's like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be doing fine.
Yeah, no, right. It's like all. I mean, like the viewership in and of itself is stuff.
But here's an interesting little tidbit that's like tangentially related here. You know, I watch shoot, hang on, I gotta remember his name. I know their first names, but let me get. Yeah, Adam Savage. You know Adam Savage from MythBusters, right?
His tested channel or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm subscribed to that, and I don't know what interview or whatever. Maybe he was answering questions or something, and he mentioned just briefly about how at the height of MythBusters, they were getting tens of millions of views, which was pretty good, and his words were something like that was really good for the time. Because now the numbers are way lower.
Oh.
And I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, there's way more commercials. People are less inclined to watch it. There's a million other avenues of like getting that content now, from like direct streaming to specialty services and so on, right?
Yeah.
But that really hammered home to me when he said that like, wow, times are really changing. Like cable really is dying off. It's slow, it's still around, but it's definitely not the power player it used to be. Yeah.
I mean, I remember growing up watching lots of TV. I mean, like, what else do you do with a kid? I mean, all the Science Channel, Discovery, History Channel before it went wacky. That's just kind of how a lot of things turned out. They couldn't really kind of support themselves anymore. Right, there we go. Trying to optimize the inventory, and remember I need to get cadmium wire, the thing I use like once in a blue moon, but still like need a full load of it at a time. I gotta upgrade this cadmium box with steel pipes that I don't have, because I put those away thinking I wasn't gonna need them, and lo and behold.
You should just carry like a stack of everything. That's what I do.
I need to optimize.
You really can fly pretty fast if you slide off of one of those tier 4 conveyor belts.
What the heck is even... This whole thing's a mess.
What whole thing? The whole factory?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that it's spaghetti, so. What is this new floor you're building?
What do you mean new floor?
Oh no, this is the new floor I was building, I think. Yeah, this is the new floor I was building. It looked fancy for a second because these power poles looked like poles that were holding the floor up, so I thought you did it.
Trying to blame me for making something?
No, I usually do the good aesthetics, but this time I did, so I can't really give you credit.
You've seen my oil section, haven't you?
I have, like, passed by there or something. I think I saw it on stream, maybe. Point is, I haven't explored it. This top floor, man. This top floor is a monster. This is worse than any of our other floors. The first floor, it's pretty bad, but like this top floor, dude, this is like crammed together and it's 4 stories high. It kind of looks cool, but navigating it is awful.
I know. That's kind of what I was complaining about a little bit ago. We need to start color coding things. I kind of had been relying on colors to identify what things are. Obviously, like a manufacturer, I know what all the manufacturers are doing because I'm the one who's put down any manufacturers. But boy, if like this, we need to create some kind of color system. I don't know.
You think it up or something, I'll follow along.
I'm using more neon signs. Like everything on the bottom floor, I just see orange. Like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Well, you don't need to look at any of it. The important part is that none of the components are important. It's what comes out at the very end. All of that orange produces like one modular frame. That's the important thing.
That's why if you notice like all the stuff on the very bottom, a lot of it got painted white. Because like now I kind of understand what it does. Have you noticed a lot of these things are just
Make any sense? If it's all white, how does it make any difference than it being all
produces
orange?
one thing. Right?
Well, I guess that does make sense.
Just don't ask what it produces.
Yeah, exactly. Just give me a big old neon sign like those modular frames. It's pretty obvious when you get the biggest billboard. Just stand here.
I was about to say, it's like, why can't I go here all of a sudden?
I need to upgrade something. I've got enough. Oh, I know what I need to do. It's gonna take me a while, but I know what I need to do.
What the? What do you mean it's overlapping now? It's silly nonsense. Huh? Why can't I build there? What? Why not? Why not? Just let me build there. We're just trying to build in the most obvious spot. Oh no, why am I falling?
You're out of fuel. You just love that slow vertical climb.
What?
Does that actually hurt you?
Yes. I'm like, oh, did it lag and fall me to the floor? Alright, that works.
That would have been a very long lag. You're not getting that kind of lag, are you?
Sometimes I am.
Oh,
It,
wow.
it is particularly around the factory, though.
Right, though. That dedicated server may be pretty good. Well, if you can hang on for just another, like, 2 or 3 months, you'll also be
Another 2 or 3 months would the.
Well, how long have we been playing this? It's been a few months.
But it's not like we're playing it every day. I mean, think about it. If we had, you know, if we were playing every single day, we'd have had this done back in November.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I've had lag points where
Not
it's
about-
like all of a sudden I hit the floor and like I lagged through a floor because of the way it tried to catch everything up and all that.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not about to play this game every day, so that's not going to change. So we may actually get a moment to play with a new computer. We'll see. But how long have we been playing this? I mean, when did we
We
pick it up?
started, I want to say, in October.
Okay.
I mean, I had the stream logs for most of it.
It's like double the game time before I get a new computer. We may actually beat the game before then. It's kind of a toss-up on whether that'll happen, though.
Oh, another thing. So it's hard for me to like to consider these floors because when I like imagine the plant here, I don't picture like this line as like so like there's like an imaginary line here mentally and like stuff on this side versus stuff on that side. I mentally separate those as separate floor spaces, even though they're on the same, you know, collection of plateau elements. And so then like the space.
Quite see what you mean.
So
I
I don't mentally separate things out like, oh, floor. I consider like this area where the ping is there to be separate from the area with all the spaghetti.
That is like a kilometer away. There's no way I would know where that ping is.
Oh, where are you?
I'm out replacing belts.
Oh, yeah, sorry. But anyways, like all the different, I don't see the factory as like separate like floors as much as I do like separate them mentally based on like what's in that space.
Sounds like something you may want to fix, because I've typically been doing like one major thing, maybe 2 major things per floor. So like you can think of the bottom floor, rotors and modular frames.
I guess another way to
That's what
explain
it does.
is I consider everything to be like sub-factories, if that makes sense.
Okay, how does that help?
Well, I'm just explaining to you how my brain processes what I'm looking at.
Okay.
So like it's like all these like spaces that exist, you know, and that's why the color coding was something that I did heavily. that we need more color options and defined terms for those sort of things. I, yes, was going back to the oil production.
And I was looking up a Sunset Riders arcade machine.
And what's
And
that?
you know that game was 4-player, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
I don't know that game though.
It's a. It's like an old Western game where you basically shoot. Or you shoot. It's, in a way, it's like a prehistoric bullet hell. In a way, it's not really top down though. It's side view. But it was for the NES and Genesis. I think it was originally an arcade machine.
Huh.
But it was a 4-player co-op game. You get up to 4 players on it. Looking it up, man, there's thousands of dollars.
What got you interested in it all of a sudden?
There's just a video talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, that was one of my favorite games. But the co-opability of it is what makes it interesting. You can have a 4-player arcade machine, which is, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, I think like only like I know the Simpsons and the X-Men arcade games had that feature. They were like, that party arcade feature.
Yeah. It was like platformers. I hadn't heard of a 4-player Simpsons or.
Yeah, the Simpsons one is like an arcade classic. Everybody knows that one. Like if you go to any major arcade, you'll usually find it, and it's one of the few big 4-player ones. I think the X-Men one was actually like a 6-player. I know the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles also had a 4-player one.
Oh yeah, no, I know about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one. But I was personally thinking like, hey, if I ended up getting one of those, obviously I'm not in a position to do that, but if I were, like say I have a house 10 years down the line, I get one, you could load up a nice emulator on that. You have 4 controllers, so you could practically play just about anything. I mean, a joystick and 2 buttons, so you're obviously not going to be capable of playing most games outside of like NES. But pretty much any 4-player game that's on that system, you could easily put on there. And it would also work for 2-player games, co-op games. I was just thinking, that'd be kind of neat. But on the other hand, I don't know if you are familiar, but you ever been to someone's house who has an arcade machine?
No, I never knew anyone personally that had an arcade machine. I've only ever heard people who knew a guy who knew a guy, but that was it.
My brother actually had one at the house I was at.
Do you know how little that narrows it down?
It doesn't need to be narrowed down. All the information you need to know is one of my siblings owned an arcade machine, and I was in the same house as that arcade machine.
I'm trying to think, because now that you say that, I remember at some point...
It's in the garage for like a decade.
Somebody had... It was a pinball machine when I was a kid. It was like a family friend thing, and I just remember there was like a pinball machine in somebody's house.
Okay. I mean, so then let me ask you, well, it may not be something to remember, but how often would they have played that?
Not a clue. I mean, yeah, that's out of scope for my
Yeah.
knowledge base.
From what I know, everyone who's owned an arcade machine, including my family, it's very rarely played. It's a very neat little
Yeah.
thing to mess around with when you first get it, maybe even for like the first month or two. But it's like the default's always going to be the computer.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could just boot up an emulator on the computer. But yeah. The only really redeeming factor of that arcade machine is like you can stand together with some friends and play it, and it's probably gonna be a little easier.
Yeah,
than
it's
carrying
definitely
around a
like
computer.
looks better at a bar.
Oh yeah, definitely. A place where like, and in fact, we had a 2-player one at the whole Reviter place. If you remember that? I might have mentioned it a few times.
I do not recall.
Well, I ended up having a. Well, I didn't end up having one, but the company had one in the lobby. And so there were many times where at lunch, we finish up lunch early or whatever, we head back to the office and chill in the lobby, and we'd play on that arcade machine. It was like a 2-player one.
I know.
And that was like a really good use of one.
The current work has well, not my current work, but the current work to which my work is owned by. They have a ping pong table down in one of the break rooms.
Ping pong table, okay. I mean, a ping pong's a little more like involved though, because you got to find the paddle, you got to get the balls, and there's.
Yeah,
it's
somebody else to
minuscule.
be with,
Yeah, it's minuscule. But it's not quite like just pick it up and then drop it the second you want to drop it. You can do that with an arcade machine. Because, you die in the arcade machine, it just resets back to the menu.
Yeah. Particularly if it's like, not coin operated anymore.
Right. But, yeah, I mean, it's still something. That arcade machine was pretty fun too, because in the office people could set scores on it. And,
really?
people set scores on it, and you want to beat them. Let me tell you something. I was the master at Dig Dug.
A Dig Dug?
No one
really?
at that office was better than me at Dig Dug. Everyone loved the game Kicks. Have you ever heard of Kicks? QIX.
What's the gameplay?
It's a bit of an abstract game, so that's a harder question to answer than you might think. Basically, there's like a line. Just, think old pixel game. There's a line. And that line spins, and it moves around the screen. And as soon as it hits a boundary, it bounces off of it like a pong ball. If you play as, I guess, a pixel that goes around the edges of the screen, and you can build boxes. And your goal is to box in that line that moves around. You box it in, you win, you go to the next level.
Sounds super familiar. Like that game Loop does. I'm trying to. Yeah, it's just not coming to mind.
I mean, I'm sure there's like other versions of the game, but Kicks is a pretty popular one. It's on a lot of systems, but it's not exactly a high intensity game. I mean, it's very laid back. But that was a really popular one in the office. Everyone had like high scores that I just couldn't beat. I think I got into the top 10, but there's only 14 people.
That's how you know the company's putting their money to good use. Oh, I just had a little bit of lag.
And it's probably because I'm not at the base. We're both traveling or something.
I'm over by the oil.
Yeah, I'm traveling, so. I can see some of the oil base. The millions of stairs that you put in there. Or ramps, I guess.
I like how I came over here. It's like, oh, I have all the stuff I need. I started putting things down. I'm like, oh, I only grabbed 1 stack of cadarium. I meant to grab 2.
It would be nice if you had that universal chest, huh?
You want to mod it up or something?
You're welcome to do that.
I don't even know
Actually,
how you
one of the
start
most
modding
practice.
for this game.
You don't.
You don't.
I actually have looked up how to mod any game on the planet.
And
Any game.
it's just like,
And, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, you just like tap that into Google and it's like, here's a Wikipedia form or something.
No, I was researching other things, and it just so happened you could use that thing to mod any game. And apparently people have written up an article on how to use that thing to mod any game. You
Was
know,
it
just-
written in Russian?
No, but there was like only one article that I could find. It was like modding pinball on the Windows XP machine.
Oh, that
You know, the
Space
pinball that
Cadet,
comes with Windows.
the Space Cadet pinball.
Oh, yeah. Which was pretty interesting topic, to be honest. But essentially what it is, oh my god, dude, is it... That's like, the people who do that are geniuses, man. It's like, there are topics in computers that I consider myself too dumb to like be capable of, and that's one of them.
Oh,
And like that, basically what they did was they find like a variable, or they find something, specifically a memory address to hook onto,
all right, makes sense.
and then they anchor their application to that memory address. And what they do
Yeah.
is they then inject the mod code. Well, first of all, they actually inject a program to allow you to mod at that address point.
Huh. All right.
Are you? And it's obviously easier to do if you're like C#. C# or Java, I could probably manage to mod a game that does that, possibly. It'd be a lot of work, but I may be capable of it, even if it is like testing the limits of my skills.
I was gonna say that
But-
that sounds like very similar to how those tags work in this PLC stuff I do for work. Like like
Mm.
tags are, they're these weird abominations because they're both like objects in memory, but they're also like network addresses, and it's just like there's this, they're just so weird on how they like manage to make this system work. But
It's pretty strange, yeah. Are they injecting stuff? 'Cause that was like the core thing that I just said. Is
I mean, well,
mostly
so
about-
like the idea is that you just send data down a network pathway, and then the tag can just hook on. It's just sitting there listening, for things on that port. But it's also like it can act in a way. You typically like you will use tags in like the sense of like creating like a variable name, but then it just sits on the network in a port, listening for whatever is on the other side. So it's like it kind of makes sense when you like understand like, oh, most things on that industrial front are built on the premises of having them Ethernet connected and everything. So
Mhm.
how is this thing supposed to... I guess it is.
But back on the whole
yeah, modding
injecting
thing,
your
yeah.
mod stuff, you know Stardew Valley, right? You've heard of that game?
Yes, you've brought it up a couple times, yeah.
They actually, that's how that mod works. The creator didn't actually support modding, but somebody actually made an application, and it's actually a well-known framework used in a lot of video games, a lot more than just Stardew Valley. But it's basically like a containerized version of what I just said. It's someone's code that hooks onto something and then injects the mod code, injects its own framework into the whole thing to load in mods and everything.
I found that whale
That's it.
stick you were talking about.
Just like stuck on the second floor.
Yeah, like how the hell did this guy get in here?
I have no
Yeah.
idea.
I don't know, maybe I can shoot
I
him?
swear I was deleting things. I turn around, and then suddenly it's there. Let me see what it's called. Let's see here. But the thing that I'm talking about is actually kind of a neat little framework that I discovered. Because I was like, you know, how cool would it be if somebody made like an easy way to mod any game using that strategy? And then it turns out somebody already has.
I killed the whale tick and its body ragdolled. It was funny.
You can actually kill them, huh?
Yep, they take a lot of damage, so.
Good to know. That was unnecessary
yes.
though, because I built around them. Hope you're happy. You're now a murderer.
Good.
Like innocent whale tick. What did it do to you?
It existed.
See, the correct answer is it was hoarding resources.
It was
And we don't allow that. No one is allowed to hoard resources on this planet.
Is this a Fisk industry, you know, requirement?
Like the little subscript is except for us.
Oh, oh yeah, there's a flashlight. How do you unflashlight? Yes, that was the B button. Yeah, the jetpack thing, since PlanetSide has a dedicated like jetpack class, that's like which is, you know, worse or better or whatever. And it's like jetpacks are so. The only game I really enjoyed jetpacks in was Warhawk, because the jetpacks, well, even though they weren't too abundant, they were only available in like a DLC maps. It was kind of silly, but the jetpacks, they had two modes. They had, and it was kind of nice because like you had a vertical thrust mode that just like rocketed you up really fast. Because like, oh, you want to get vertical height really quickly when you're being shot at. And so the other mode was a hover mode, so you could sit and hover. And the way that was balanced was that people could then, while you're flying, lock on to you with a rocket launcher and instantly kill you. So that was like nicely balanced, just like that. And you didn't have to worry about, like about a fuel gauge thing. You just had like a max height you couldn't go past on one boost and stuff. And then if you couldn't land anywhere or couldn't switch to hover mode, then you would just fall and die. It seems like a lot of games make that difficult. Or do they put like, you know, kind of extra limitations on stuff when it's not necessary?
Yeah. I mean, it all serves just to make 3D navigation complicated.
It's neat.
Only they'd make the... They need to do it something like Minecraft creative mode, where it's like everything's just hover automatically, you know, and then your controls go up and down. But I guess that doesn't make sense for fast-paced games. You need to shoot people.
Yeah, and plus, like, if you are playing something like PlanetSide, you don't want, you know, infinite hover on guys when you also give them the ability to kill vehicles fairly easily.
Yeah, true. That's actually a good point. People be flying up, starting like melee jets and stuff.
Yeah.
Or whatever the jet equivalent is for.
Yeah, there are
planet
jets in the game.
They're all like hovercrafts.
But you can ramming people infantry. That it is a thing. Like you can ram, you know, flying infantry. That's really hard because it's like you know, trying to hit a fly when you're moving 100 miles per hour. And like the fly itself is like also moving really fast. But the annoying thing is that there was a thing in the game where it's called, you know, got to watch out for the pixies, the C4 fairies. Is a real thing called C4 fairies, because they'll just be hovering above you and drop C4 from like 100 meters on top of you.
Finding it very difficult to find the name of that framework.
Dang. Copper cable's taking forever to make.
Oh yeah, that's what we were working on last, wasn't it?
Huh. Rubber? Really? I don't have much rubber. Oh, I guess I only have one thing of rubber we've made. way back at the start with my factory and my oil production.
Yeah, I feel like I'm losing my mind here. This is crazy. I'm trying to find out what the heck that thing was called. But here's the crazy thing. I need like 3 games that used it. I look up each game, and each one of them says they use a different framework.
Huh.
Yeah, I feel like whole Bernstein's Bears thing kind of going on. I just
Mandela effect.
Yeah,
You just
Mandela
imagined a framework that was universal for modding games.
right.
It's like,
I
what is this
swear.
guy talking about? He must be on heroin or something.
Yeah. So I only dreamt it, you know. Penultimate goal. Hey, maybe that means I still have a chance to make it. I thought I had like the word moon in it, but I am seriously doubting that now. God, what was it called? It's gotta exist, dude. I swear I'm not crazy.
I don't know. I'll tell Fareed to go hunt it down. He'll go find a tool that pertains to modding and is used for all circumstances of modding.
It's just such an obscure thing. But all it does is inject its whole thing so you can mod games that don't have mod support. Because, you know, most people don't do mod support.
Yeah, I mean, when you say that, it makes me kind of think of like cheat engine, how, you know, just tries to you try to find values in memory that you gotta manipulate.
Yeah, it's pretty similar, actually. It was pretty similar in a way.
I've already forgotten what I was trying to do. Can I build another oil? Yes, I could build 1 more of those currently. Oh, shoot, that was the wrong one.
You know what I'm starting to think it might have been? Or where I might have seen the name. It might have been when I was actually trying to mod Stardew Valley. Not that I ever actually did it, it was more like a learning experience to see how we're doing it. But, oh, I found it. It's called Harmony.
Harmony? Is it like Harmony mod tool or something?
Yeah, it's just called Harmony. In fact, here, let me give you a link to it. Because, hopefully by linking it to you now, I will be able to search Discord and find it later.
That's what pinning messages are for.
Yeah, but this isn't really like worth it because I'm like only one it like 4 years down the line.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. I'll just do like modding API. That should be. All right, let me add framework because that's what I kept calling it. That should be enough keywords for me to find it. But yeah, this is basically it. It's a neat little tool essentially to patch mods into things. So let's see, it's used in 7 Days to Die, Battletech, Besiege, City Skylines, Kerbal Space Program, Oxygen Not Included, RimWorld, Stardew Valley, Subnautica. So if you ever used a Subnautica mod, then there you go. It used Harmony.
There's not too many games I really ever bothered modding with. I usually will go for a story-based game. And it's like, when we're done with the story, what else do you play for, you know? Like, it's a game like, you know, Satisfactory that you would want to do mods for.
The majority of mods that I get end up just being like quality of life, to be honest. Because
that's understandable.
Kind of suck at doing their own content, to be honest. It's like either really cringy or... Actually, that's mostly, it's just usually really cringy.
Yeah, I mean, Minecraft was a big game to do modding out of.
Oh yeah, no, modding, okay, you're right. Oh, I guess what I was thinking of, like, when you mentioned story and all that, in my mind, I was thinking, like, Skyrim or Oblivion mods.
That's
like
true.
Try to do a story.
Those are games I have done modding on. I mean, particularly with Oblivion, like, you know, quality of life on the UI and stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, if you ever gotten, like, a story mod, it's kind of cringy. They do, okay.
There was one.
Props for them going through the effort.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not crapping on them because I wouldn't be able to do any better. But it doesn't change the fact that it's just like when they say their lines, it's always like, I don't know, man, it makes me cringe.
It's like there's like good quality voice acting, then there's like, oh hey, they did voice acting.
Yeah.
There was one. There was a New Vegas mod. It was called New California, or whatever. It was actually really, really good. There was voicing acting in it, and it was very much
It's competent.
digestible and stuff. And
Okay, that's good.
and it was like I played it on like launch day of the mod, and it was, you know, the interesting thing about it was that it felt like an early access game, in like the good way. It's like, oh, this is kind of neat. You know, it's just like, yeah, it's like any other game in the sense that it's like, it feels like a product that has potential to it, and it's, you know, sure, it's built on New Vegas framework and, or, you know, a game, but it was actually really well put together, and they had the story end to end in place, and it was buggy as heck, that was for sure.
Well, I guess when, you know, even Bethesda professional teams can't get it right.
Yeah. But like that was the thing, like there was always times when it was always Bethesda games that have, you know, some kind of like, you know, story mod. It's gonna come out in like a year or whatever. It was I know there was a lot of those for like Skyrim and the Fallout 4. There was a ton of like mods like, oh, here's like a new expansion area that we're building for Fallout 4, and it's like, you know, coming out next year. Then you won't hear anything about it for like 3 years, and it's like, are you guys still working on this? And it's like, yeah, probably not.
Nah, the modders are notorious for just giving up midway.
Or maybe it
Or
just
giving up.
becomes unsustainable in cost or something.
Well, yeah, possibly.
I think that's like the main thing. Like must some modders stop? It's like you can't just dedicate a time to it. Things just cost too much.
I don't know if I'd use the word cost, but definitely it's a time issue too, because it's like, it takes a lot of time to do any sort of game dev, of course. I don't know if they're paying for anything though, so that's why I say I don't know about cost. Unless you mean like they got a Patreon going.
There was a few that I recall doing some kind of, you know, crowdfunding.
I haven't seen modding since like crowdfunding became a thing. So I kind of stopped playing Skyrim and all the moddable games. Well, I take that back. There's a few Kinshi mods. People try to pull crowdfunding. Like, hey guys, crowdfund me to rip off all the Halo models and do none of the work. But, you know, ripping's a lot of work, you know?
That's true.
Gotta pay me $50.
Yeah, you
a
can't
month.
just, you know, take out the mesh out of the game. You have to, you know, spend some time on it, modify it just enough.
Yeah, I mean, you still have to, because it's not gonna have any rigging to whatever armature that your game's using in
Yeah.
your modding. You obviously have to re-rig it. So yes, technically there's a lot of work, but I think it's very unethical to like charge people for that.
I mean, that's why most of them will do like the donation thing.
Yeah, Patreon. That's what I keep saying.
I mean, it goes back to that, you know, when Bethesda tried doing like, you know, pay for mod community thing. It's like, why not just have it like an easy donation system, you know? It's like, what's with like all this extra rigmarole that's got to go on here just to make a product?
And then Steam did something like that, but you trade worthless points. You can actually like do emojis or whatever, react to mods using your silver points or whatever the heck they're called. You get from buying games.
Ah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Because I actually got a few of those on my mods. It's kind of neat, to be honest.
It's a good
Still
way to
getting good.
encourage the community, you know, to play nice and stuff.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I stopped caring about modding Kinshi when I was noticing like stupid crap was, I think I've told you this 1,000 times, but stupid crap kept like becoming the most popular junk.
Oh, that's
It's
the
like I'd
worst.
spend like 200 hours or whatever rigging, modeling, texturing, you know, doing all the jazz to make some really cool armor sets. You know, there's a respectable amount of downloads. No, it's not like it was completely ignored. But I'd get something like, you know, 1,000 downloads, 1,000 subscriptions.
Yeah.
And then I'd look on the front page and I'd be like ranked number 4, and like 3 things ahead of me would be player start with 1 leg. And it was like all they did is they went in the editor and they just like changed what you start as, like your character.
Yeah.
It takes like 5 seconds, and like they got 10 times the downloads, and I'm like, okay.
Or it's like, oh, here's cat ear on the default armor or something.
Exactly. Just something silly, dumb, and incredibly quick to do.
And it's not like, you know, that's exclusive to that. That stuff's still, like, I know PlanetSide, it's just so cringy when you go on to, like, the subreddit, and all of a sudden, people are like, wow, why can't we get cat ears on our things? Like, because why the fuck would anybody want that? You know, it's a shooter game. Why the hell you want, you know, goddamn cat ears on your damn shit? It's like, stop that.
So yeah, but like when I noticed that junk was going on, I just lost all of the motivation to continue, because I'm like, why am I spending all this time when, like, okay, 1,000 people downloading my mod that is a lot of people. There is no joke in that. But it's also like, that's a lot of work. It's like for every hour I get 4 subscriptions, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the trade-off there is I should just start making one-legged starts. And then, you know, Kenshi game starts with just what character you start off with and where you start. Something you do in the editor in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's that low-hanging fruit that, like, somehow gets the most attention.
Exactly. Like, and you know, like, okay, I get that it can be. Also, did you put this floodlight in here?
Oh yeah, I put a couple of those around.
It is a little too whitewashy, though.
I can't control it. If you can figure out how to control it, go ahead.
I doubt it, but they could make that a little softer.
They can sometimes.
And it is realistic.
They can make the lights actually look like they light up instead of just like have a point light that doesn't show anything.
Yeah, so the fall off is just a little bad. Is all.
So like I built a couple more of those floodlights on my refinery section, and 3 of the new ones I built up of the tower floodlight towers. They like the actual like light part doesn't actually like emit anything on the material, and I think it like just needs to be reloaded in the area. But it's just kind of like, hey, can we get this working properly? I think it had to do with like having power to it after it was built or before it was built.
There's a intensity, by the way.
Oh, there is, huh?
And it doesn't actually affect the radius, so.
Ah, I see. You've got colors too.
Yeah, I was actually about to try some daylight color, see if that looks any better. Actually, yeah, it does. The smallest amount of orange tint.
Your lights have night mode?
I couldn't figure out what that does.
Huh.
Editing the colors a little jank too. To click it like 6 times.
Turn it to a warm light.
Ah, you changed it to like pure orange. What was that?
Oh,
wait, how did you change my light?
All of them changed at once.
Yeah, you're right. What the heck? Man, I had it perfect. I had it the perfect settings, man. Let me redo
it. Oh, I know why it changed. I edited the stock color, and that's changed all of them that are on the stock color. It doesn't do them individually. It does them all. They all pull from the same settings.
Oh, oops. I see. So they have to like set them to individual colors. Well, I gave them like a more light daytime look.
All right.
It's mostly white still, but it's not nearly as harsh. You obviously have to turn down the intensity to like 60% if you want it to look really good. That's pretty neat, though. I didn't really know that we can do that.
So I added 2 more generators. Noticing the power improvement.
I have not looked at the power.
Yeah, we got 35, 36 to 3,800 on the watts. Oh no, that kind of makes me. So I was looking at the market earlier today, and I just wanted a little quick in out, you know, not focus on it, and actually pay attention to work, so I don't like get used to it. And so I was tracking a play, and I didn't end up actually taking the play itself, but I looked at it, and it's like, all right, you know, $300 for this play. I'll just go ahead and watch it here in a few minutes and see what it does. And so it dropped like in half and everything. I'm like, good thing I didn't get into that play or whatever. And then about 3 o'clock, obviously I kind of got a little bit of time. I was like, all right, I'll go look at the market and see what's going on and stuff like that. And the market just went straight up like all day and everything. And I went back and looked at that play. It would have been 1,000% runner.
Wow, 1,000% on 300?
Yeah. So
Wouldn't that be $30,000?
I guess 100% runner. Excuse me. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
To do the math process. Sorry. I guess
100%
Yeah.
increase would be 2 times. What is the time?
It would have been. It was $3,000 at the end of it. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Isn't that 1,000%?
Yeah, you're right. It's 1,000% increase because that's 10 times.
Yes. Yes. So yeah. I mean, it's just like, oh no, oh darn, oh well. And it's like, it's always on those kind of days that, you know, it's like, oh, I'd only do a quick little in out or whatever. And then it's like, oh, that's when it runs like crazy. And then, you know, every other day of the week, it's like, nah, it just burns and dies.
Well, don't beat yourself up about it. Try not to use that as evidence to, you know,
increase your amount of buying power and stuff.
Risk.
I mean, there was job data numbers that came out this morning, so that was the case.
And I feel dumb for not playing Tesla. To be honest with you, I was looking at Tesla, like, the day before a bunch of crap hit, before Tesla even started tanking. I was like, should I put a put here? And I didn't even look at the put cost because I just thought, I convinced myself, I was like, nah, the puts are going to cost too much, and I don't want to have to deal with buying a $3,000 put.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a lot of freaking money. And a lot of risk for me.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't. I was like, you know, I did think about it. I did sit on it for like a minute or two. I decided not to. And like the following few weeks later, it just continues to go down. I think it's still going down.
Yeah, it's kind of found a bottom. There was some money that came into it today that some people were pointing at. So some big money boy out there was looking at it.
But like, if you want to talk 1,000% increase, that was like 1,000% on a freaking $3,000 play.
Yeah.
So that would have been a freaking down payment. But I didn't. I was too scared of the risk.
Yeah, I was.
$3,000 puts in a joke.
It's interesting that we bring that up. I was looking at some other stuff, and someone pointed out on a particular ticker. It was the SBX index ticker. If you play it, like the optimal way to play it or whatever, is if you buy near in the money contracts and you buy it no less than 3 at a time. And it's like, if you want to do that, that's easily going to be $5,000+ on just 3 contracts at that spot. Even if you bought later or averaged down or whatever, that's still like a lot of money to put up for those kind of contracts and plays.
I mean, there are people who are probably making $20K a month on just dividends alone. So it's like, what is that to them?
So when you're on that kind of crack, then sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's people who are risking like a week's pay. To us, it's like risking 2 months' savings. Yeah. It's a bit of a different game, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunate thing in my little trade group. Too often the term of like, if you're going to gamble, only gamble with your profits. I'm like, even in here now, everything is gambling.
It's like, how do I gamble with my negatives? I think what they're saying is you need to go get a loan.
Oh, no.
You know, it doesn't go negative if it's already negative.
I mean, all I gotta do is get a 35K loan, go get 10 times leverage, and bada bing, I have a year's worth of, 6-figure income just like that I can gamble with.
I love seeing that kind of crap on the Wall Street's bets. It's like, yeah, guys, look at he's like 300K in his portfolios, and like 2 weeks later, it's like negative 300K. It's like, yeah, the kind of people who do that junk, risk is like not understood by them.
And to some extent, you don't want them to understand risk.
Oh no, I mean, I enjoy it. They probably don't, because that's their whole life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a pretty avoidable problem. I'm just saying.
Huh, there was more oil here.
Oh, good. We need more oil. We need more power. Triple our power.
I would if I kept remembering what resources I needed to bring over.
Yeah, that's almost the limitation of this game.
Not enough pocket space. Too many resources needed to produce one thing.
There's a lot of different resources.
Because, like, right now, all of a sudden, oh, now I need computers. Because, like, I was only needing enough computers for a few fuel generators. And now it's like, oh, now I need, like, 3 more or 3 more sets of computers. And then a bunch of other stuff.
Dude, what's up with these landing pads taking 5 megawatts? Good God. Why do they take so much?
Landing pad.
Yeah, and jump pad.
Oh, that jelly jump, that thing? I don't know. That's kind of why I've only never really built them. There was one jump pad by the hub that it's kind of built for fun, and it just sits there. They didn't require power. They'd be kind of cool to get around with.
Exactly. It's too much power. If they were like 1 megawatt, I could understand, but like 5? It's kind of brutal. There's actually a very good use for one, which I will put down.
I think the idea is that you use something like jump pads early on when you do a vertical factory.
Well, when did we unlock them? Because
Oh, they're like one of the first things to unlock. They came with some like inventory space, so that's why they got unlocked.
ah, okay.
But yeah, they just like take up too much resource.
Ooh, look at those quick wires fly.
Yeah, upgrading some of that storage buffer stuff kind of helped things out a little bit.
Train signals. You gonna do anything with trains?
Yeah, I kind of want to just to play around with it, but it seems quite taxing.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Well, I've got nothing really to work on at the moment, so I'm gonna go check out this oil factory that you've done.
Oh no, it's ugly right now. Don't look at it. No.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. You got like 5 minutes to fix it.
I need to build a ding tube around all this nonsense that we have.
A what? A ding?
Yeah. I need to build another way to get around everything. I was tempted to buy the catwalk pieces for factory stuff, so just have like catwalks over everything.
I don't know what that is.
Factory catwalk.
You gotta understand, I've never worked in a factory.
Oh, so you don't know what a catwalk is, huh?
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what these are. I kind of recognize the name, but
I'm having a stroke.
couldn't quite
Where is this
picture it. This is like where all the DC villains go. That's what they're always standing on. Catwalk, right before they get dumped into like a vat of acid or something.
At first I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And like, oh, you're just talking about like the one time like DC did the origin of the Joker or whatever. By that I mean Alan Moore.
I may not have meant that exactly, but it's like a lot of the like cartoons would just be in factories.
Yeah.
And there would be
The stereotypical factory, like a couple I guess there was a couple Batman episodes that did that.
Which one of these pipes do I take to get the oil? I don't
Oh, you need to
actually
come
know.
over here. It's over here. It's this guy. He doesn't have a
Okay.
sign. I mean, if you want to sign up some of these guys, I mean, I know where they
What I
go,
would
but
really like, what would really work is if you could put from Steel Factory 2 over to the oil.
Steel Factory 2 to the oil refinery?
Or at
Why
least
that?
to wherever that nearest, what is that? Tube Junction 1? You need to do a tube between,
Oh, Junction 1 and Junction 0?
I'm trying to find where that one was.
You're about to be at a Junction Home, and you're at the... Oh, this is what I was talking about. I need to build a junction from home over to the oil junction, because it's starting to get to that point where it's just so busy over here.
We should have a junction at Steel Factory 2, and then we should have Steel
Yeah.
Factory 2 connect with Tube Junction 1. So that way it's a big square.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what tube you take because you can end up at the right place. You don't have to backtrack ever.
Yeah, I only have the junction. I have a junction at Factory 1, but I haven't built one from 2.
The one to oil is like counterintuitive because you have to like jump on the opposite end of where you come out. Is this even the right tube? I feel like I'm not in the right tube.
The one I'm in is the right
It's one
tube.
of the MAM one. How do I go from MAM to oil?
You just go there.
You built these tubes and I have no idea where they go. There's like 50 of them. Is it the green one? You color-coded one of them green. There's green, there's
Yes.
white, and orange. Which one do I take?
Yes, you want the green one.
Okay.
The green one will take you to the one by the oil one, which will take you over here by Junction 1.
Chris, I need
Which-
some help here. Look, I need some like intuitive user interface because what you've got
Hey,
going
look.
on now is programmer speaking. I don't speak.
I do. It is programmer speak. Oh, you know, you gotta use the one that does the thing.
All right, I think I found it.
Oh, you did? Let me see.
After your directions, I
Yes.
managed to get here.
Despite your directions.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna use that, but now I can't. It's gonna wait till I actually got there, but that's fine.
And oh, okay, so when you go to the oil one, you can't go to the coal one, but it's before the oil one, because the oil one's next to the coal one.
Thank you. I've noticed this.
So you want to, these aren't color coded because these have signs. So some are color coded, some have signs.
Oil, and I love that the coal and the oil are they're in the wrong spot. They're
I
just
built the coal one
open.
first. That's just
Overlap.
like the most convenient spot for it.
You were Mr. like tear it down and make it better. Now
Yes.
suddenly you're like, oh yes, I didn't tear it down. I explicitly avoided to do that. There's only like 2 pipe segments. It's not even like I'm like, hey, don't rebuild this global international walkway. And you're like, yeah, let's do that. Let's rebuild it. And I'm like,
Global international walk.
this is a single pipe segment. Could you rebuild it? No, we're gonna refuse that. Like what?
It's not that I refuse it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
I don't understand.
You're killing me. Funny as shit. Hold on.
All right, let's check out this oil factory. Oh yeah, you put it on platforms and everything.
Yeah, I'm real proud about that section. I'm trying to clean up these guys here. These guys are about to go.
You gave it like the standardized space.
Yeah, so that whole thing right there is ready to be made vertical.
What do
And
you
I
mean?
have the water extractor. I believe, well, it might not be perfectly efficient now, but it would never like stop, never start and pause and stuff. So I'm currently building up here, with these guys.
Oh, you give it a lot of space too. I like this. See, that is a habit that I don't have yet. Are these the generators? Oh yeah, fuel generator. I don't understand the color coding, but you know.
Oh no, those don't have any meaning to the color coding at all.
Oh, okay.
Originally, I was trying to do color coding for like some that had overclockers on them, but then it's like, oh, I ran out of overclockers, and then I just kind of gave up.
Yeah. I feel like since you have so much fuel, it's better to just continue to build it out rather than use overclockers at this point. It's like overclockers are best used when they're out of the base resource, or it's very difficult to get in orbit.
Those are just kind of like that because they are.
So in my mind, I thought you were burning like crude oil, but I see now what you mean by.
Yes, it's like there's like it's a residual resource
Yeah.
that comes as a result.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now. I'm curious how much the base resource it uses. How the heck is crude oil extracted? This is an unused crude oil? Yeah. Okay, so the crude oil goes into refineries, gotcha. Most appropriate use of a refinery. Where the oil's coming from?
Um,
Heck is the crude oil coming from? I can't figure it out.
it's coming from this guy. That's the only crude oil one right now that's operating.
Okay.
That one guy right there is powering up the whole rigmarole.
I'm trying to figure out how much.
I never noticed the flames on it. Because the crude oil gets processed into fuel at some point. And you can just see how much I have just available to me.
300 square or 300 cube meters of crude oil per minute.
Yeah, I meant to put that guy. I wanted to put that guy in bigger platforms, but you only can do it on the ones.
Yeah, it's per minute. How does that make any sense? It says that each refinery uses 150 per minute. And yet you're powering like 20 refineries.
You mean the 20 refineries are powering the system?
Oh, that's water.
Oh yeah, you have waters in a different setup.
So you do 2 refineries, it looks like.
Yeah, you need 2 refineries just for one product because you need to get the polymer into the rubber production and the plastic production. And
then you are putting the fuel and water to make... Oh, no, that's not fuel. I mean, I think that is a fuel pipe. Okay, but that's an output. So, are only 2 of these machines working? I don't get it.
Well, they're all working. They're just slow. I have 2 sets of plastic and 1 set of rubber.
Okay, I see the problem. You don't have enough crude oil coming in.
The refineries can only process it so fast. It's the polymer production that's always slow. Because,
well, I'm saying these other machines are slow because if you look at the refineries, they use 150 crude oil a minute, right? Your max production of crude oil is only 300 with that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, because I originally, I didn't scale them because I had added the rubber on the other ones. So I never bothered to...
plus 60, plus 60, plus 60.
I actually don't need those. I can actually take that out and probably move it around a little bit.
Yeah, you could. Although it's not going to make a difference, good. Oh, actually, I take that back. Oh, no, you took 2 of them. Yeah, so it's not going to make a difference. It's going to amp it up by about 30 more consumption, so it doesn't matter how you distribute them. The important thing being that if you want to expand the amount of fuel that you're making, you're going to absolutely have to get more mines, more oil.
The extractors?
Yep. How much crude oil is on this place anyways? 1, 2, 3. So we can only get 3 more, so we can only triple what we've got.
Ah. I can see that I'm ready to take down my fluid buffer set up over here. This was temporary. Oh, or whatever.
What did you do? Her whole system's on battery right now.
Yes. I was trying to get rid of these old fluid buffers. So they were being drained. And they have been drained. Good thing I got these 4 massive fluid buffers right here.
That was a pretty cool place. You've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, this whole area needs a little more work.
Yeah, you did a really bad job. Needs a lot more.
Quiet, you.
Alright, well, I guess I'm gonna go, I don't know, I'll find something to do. Feels like, you know, if I just stop here, everything's good. Everything's automated. I've achieved my life goal. The only thing that needs to happen is we need to fix these darn tubes. They're the most inconvenient places.
Which tubes? Oh, the tubey tubes. Yeah, those guys.
The oil comes out in like just a random place on the oil island. Rather than like any of the other places where it's just like right smack in the middle.
I mean, have you ever noticed that the indicator for tube junction 1 is not near tube junction 1?
I have probably noticed that. Yes.
I noticed that when I made it, and I was like, oh, I'll have to get to it later. And then it's just like, it's just one of those things like, you know how like you start making a feature and you kind of stop and you go work on another feature.
There's just too much to do, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. That's weird.
We're now at nearly 42,000 capacity on the power.
42,000 or 4,200?
Yes. 42 million.
That is 4,200.
Yes, that's right. 6,000 hulls.
That is a 10 times difference here. If we had 42,000 power, we'd pretty much be done for the game. I amped up the coal flow.
I was going to say at that point, might as well just make a compact coal in the whole line.
I guess I could. And you said it's 1 for 1, right?
Compact coal requires an assembler and sulfur. I believe it's one.
Like, I don't have to go and change the coal generators to like a compact coal recipe, do I?
No. They just will accept. They're the only things that accept compact coal, by the way.
Okay, so in other words, I can't do that for steel.
I mean, you have to have enough knowing that you can intercept.
Whoa, hold up. I think I was in the middle of fixing our copper. Something's not right. I guess I'll get to the compact coal another time.
Oh, do you remembered you were actually doing something?
I think I did. I think I finally figured out what I was doing. I think what I was doing is I was making huge increase in copper so we can get you copper cables. Because I think you needed copper cables or something.
Alright, I'm done over here at my oil setup for the moment.
Yeah, because I fixed your copper sheet problem. It went from like having 2 or 3 machines producing it to me adding 6 more.
Oh?
Yeah, so the copper sheets are doing pretty darn good. I think you need a copper cable, right?
Yeah, the copper cable pipeline, even though there's a lot in the storage for the cable, it's not getting to its destination quickly enough, and its main thing is being made into automated wiring, I think.
Okay. I may ask you later, but I'm gonna fix the copper and see if that'll fix that issue too. First things first, though, I need industrial steel beams.
Encased steel beams.
Yeah. You know, I'm just following the tradition of not calling anything by its right name.
I mean, you got tubes, pipes, and tubes and pipes. What else do you want?
Advanced plates. I think they're called like reinforced plates or something. Yeah, reinforced iron plates should just be called advanced plates. If I had to mod this game, I'd just do that. It'd be simple name changes that, you know, rather than me correcting myself, I'd rather correct the game.
The game is wrong.
Exactly.
No, no, no. It is the children who are wrong.
It's not me who's wrong.
Am I old and outdated? No, it is the children who are incorrect. Or it's an old Simpsons meme.
No, I know. It's said by Seymour, no less.
Principal Skinner. Yeah, perhaps these tubes could use some realignment. I mean, given that some tubes aren't really even used anymore, they might see better use elsewhere.
When you say tubes, you're not referring to like the
Hypertubes.
transport, are you?
Yes, I'm talking about the hypertubes.
Why would we get rid of them? The ones you put down are in convenient places. Well, they're not in, the endpoints are not in convenient places, but where they take you. You're not going to change like where it takes you, right?
Well, some of these are kind of redundant because like 2 of them end up the exact same spot. But I've kind of forgotten which ones are going where now. I just like know kind of by muscle memory, which is like the worst way of doing it.
I mean, you know me, I'm not a huge fan of taking a step back, so. But if you feel that it's necessary, I would certainly appreciate if you made more loops in the whole system.
Oh, just like aesthetic loops?
No, not literally loops. I meant like graph loops, where you could take one pipe and still end up at any other pipe because they're interconnected.
Oh, you mean expand the network?
Well, technically you could call it expansion, but you're not adding any new endpoints. You know, like I was explaining earlier, going from Junction or Steel Factory 2 to Junction 1.
Increase the connectors is what I'm hearing.
So rather than adding a new endpoint, you just connect 2 endpoints. So if you felt the need, you could continue to travel in the tubes forever and never stop. Also, I need a lot of plastic. Why don't we have like any plastic?
It's all being sent into production.
Could you increase the plastic? I need a lot more.
There's just no plastic being saved. That's the issue.
Or we're just not even producing it enough to accumulate. It will get saved if we produce enough, but we're not producing enough, so it all gets used.
Well, I don't even have a way to... I don't have it in the system currently to actually spin some off and save any. All of it just goes right into production. Like if I were saving any at all, then like there's a lot of things in my pipeline that there's nothing that actually gets saved.
Since it can back up and there's a buffer container, the solution is then to fill it up so much it ends up backing up into the container. The problem is we can use it, so we are using it, which means it's a bottleneck.
There is a partial savings over by the refinery, if you noticed. It lives going into the empty container production for fuel. So like our jet fuel is also being used to supply better situation here, seeing as empty containers aren't reusable. So we have no, even though there's tons of things like, regular computers, there's no rubber. There's no spare plastic because it's either being used up in some pipeline, which is one of the things I do intend to do at some point. Now, when? I might take a, couple months. But if you absolutely need a plastic and rubber, you can pick it out of the manufacturers because they're pretty slow.
That's awful. That is what I've been doing, though.
It's same. Like, we have a ton of regular computers. I could start dumping these things in the shredder, the awesome sink.
Take too long on the plastic production. I might have to come over there to...
Well, see, it also doesn't help, though, that I'm sending the plastic straight in to be converted into circuit boards, and we have a huge number of circuit boards just sitting, not even being used.
Yeah, but my point is the production should always be more than we can use.
The thing I'm trying to explain at the top of that is, like, it could just be saved instead of just being converted. I just don't have it set up that way because I'm lazy.
I mean, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that's not how I like to operate. Because
you just want to have more and more production at a level that just starts making it crazy.
A level of production where the bottleneck is the literal production. Like, not the production of the base material, which in this case is going to be our plastic, but the use of it. So, like, our use of it in circuit boards could never outpace the amount of plastic that we produce. In that way, we would always have plastic available. But yes, that does mean it's a little more work because, it's a lot of plastic we have to produce. That's what I'm saying. That's what I want the solution to be to this problem. Not half the amount going into the circuit boards so circuit boards slow down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like we also can stop producing so much circuit board. Because I don't know, we're not really using it for anything currently.
I mean, in my experience with this game is if you stop producing something, they're going to be like, okay, now we need 20,000 of it. Like, oh, that is an absurd number.
Yeah. If you want sulfur, you can take it. I have a whole big old chest over here. It's just not even able to use any of it.
Is there any way for us to get rid of these, like, giant coral things?
Giant coral things.
Giant purple coral stuff.
I know some of the coral you can take a chainsaw to.
Let's find out. To be honest, I haven't actually tried. Nah, this coral doesn't work. The big flathead ones are like 3 or 4 tiers. A whole bunch of them, they're all in the way. If I had like thousands of plastic, I could just build a foundation over them. It'd be like a 50-meter tall concrete foundation, but it would resolve my problem.
And right now I'm just waiting for these adaptive control units to get done so I can convert that section into doing more of the other stuff that goes along the dual engine or modular engine or whatever. Yes, because we get, well, rubber is what I need to actually work on to get the next phase going. Oh, huh. So yeah, I'm gonna use the restroom. I'll be back.
All right. But
Oh, what do I want to do next? I mean, what do I want to procrastinate on further?
making plastic. But
You're
take
right.
the procrastination part out. I need plastic and I need it now.
I need money and I need it now.
Exactly.
Oh. You know, if I wasn't trying to store some cable, I'd had plenty of cable right now.
Wow, we use a lot of coal. Didn't realize it was that much. I had to destroy our coal pipeline because it was in my way. And the buffers are going down at an alarming rate. Also, I'm out of plastics. That's another reason. Come back and get plastics and build my foundations. I mean, use it for very valuable stuff.
I was about to say, it's like, well, you know, you don't really need that kind of plastic at that level right now, right?
I do. And it's all your fault that you can't supply enough of it to me.
Why am I being grilled on this?
You're the oil baron, aren't you? You know.
Yeah, you get what I give you. That's how
You are
this
the
works, you
master
know?
of all oil.
I charge the
Therefore, you
prices that I
supply
want to
me
charge
all.
you.
Well, you're doing it too slow.
So you get it at the rate that I give it to you.
I need you to increase the rate. It's not enough. Although I will say, you've done a fantastic job of providing me motors.
Yeah,
Wherever
I
those
don't.
might be.
Yeah, I did the motor line properly, and it's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, my game froze or crashed.
Oh, it crashed? Did you save?
I thought it did, but it was just not a save.
Okay.
It was the saving that made me think that.
Okay.
Yeah, the superior way of traveling is definitely to slide down tier 4 conveyor belts and then just fly the jetpack. You move so much faster than anything else. You know, something that this game needs to do, another quality of life thing, because you know I'm all about handing those out. It needs to be able to save the setting that your like build mode is on. Like every time we start this game up, I have to always swap it back to Zoop. Should at least like save that. Something minor, but you know, saved me the hassle.
You can put it in the notice yourself.
Maybe I will.
Well, maybe I will. And nobody can stop me.
Yeah, only I won't sound like a Disney villain.
Oh, maybe I will, and nobody can stop me.
No, see what you said before was the Disney villain.
Instead of the Zuckerberg. Although
How's
nobody
Zuckerberg
can tell me how
called?
Zuck sounds. Nobody knows what Zuckerberg sounds like. Is that possible?
I don't think you surround yourself with enough people that worship him to know that, which is a good thing in some ways.
I was about to say, it's like, that's the exact thing I'm trying to go for. Huh. Interesting. Steel pipes are slow? What's that all about?
Well, it all started when I was 4.
Well, it all started on the day I was born. My own parents shouldn't show up for my own birth. Still stealing that one from the show.
I was gonna say, what is that from? I swear I've heard that before.
I think it was a meme for like, well, there was like it was like a Disney show that did it. I can't remember. I just remember seeing it online. Dang, I got the loudest sneeze. You know anybody that's got a louder sneeze than me? Just curious, asking for
That is
myself.
a very strange question. I want you to know that. Very strange question.
And that was me holding back that sneeze.
It's, you know, it's okay. You don't actually have to elaborate.
That's where like you go, I go on. It's like, yeah, then he started asking me about people sneezing. It was really weird.
It was really-
Well, at least I don't have to build any more extractors because I have all the extractors occupied over there. Well, besides one, but I don't worry about the other spot just yet. Okay.
I find it ridiculous you can't slide up anything.
How do you propose people slide up a hill?
Well, if you have enough momentum, you'll slide up anything. kind of a
Including
physical
even if the friction like holds you to a stop.
Well, presumably, there will be a point where your momentum will outweigh the stopping force from friction. Look, I took physics 1 and 2, alright, in college. I know at least a little bit about physics. I also wrote my own physics engine, so I know a little bit about friction coefficients. I feel like, you know, I'm not just speaking entirely out my ass here.
I'm about to say, it kind of sounds like you're speaking out your butt there.
I like to think I'm not.
Let's see here. I will improve verticality on the oil setup. Or B, improve... Oh, I didn't bring my chainsaw with me. I will improve verticality because I didn't bring my chainsaw with me. And I need to get an increased pipeline for plastic and rubber. Let's see. How freaking tall do I gotta build this thing? Oh, really freaking tall is the answer.
Alright, where do we store pipes?
No longer storing pipes because they're all being
Oh,
used.
what?
It is inefficient and is now being consumed entirely.
No. Build like a separate pipeline for these things that are getting consumed, darn it. I need my pipes.
Steel pipes are
What?
being consumed and no longer available. I'm entirely on getting your
Man,
plastic.
no wonder you're complaining the darn base sucks. You're not saving anything, you're using it all. That's why the base sucks.
Yep. I use it all efficiently.
It's not efficient.
Uses.
And now here, oh no, there is pipes. What is? No, wait, there's not. There's you're right. You are using them all.
It wasn't wrong.
Yeah. I was like, oh, there's the pipe storage, and then I see your little conveyor belt coming out of it. Darn it. Man, now you like. I swear, I'm the one building this darn base at this rate. I'm always like coming in and fixing this crap. Fix this problem that you made. It's like, I can see why you avoided it, because there's less room in here than a darn New York apartment to build this like solution. I'm gonna build more steel pipes in this like 2 square foot area. You know, you should really tackle these yourself.
Proceeds to then complain about not getting enough plastics.
Well, you should be able to do everything all at once simultaneously.
You're not full stack back end, front end, all in one wrapped up API developer, core dev, God mode, 10x.
Don't forget mobile. You're not doing mobile. You know.
Hardware, software,
Middleware, orderware, overware. Do it all.
You're not an absolute Chad with 6 research papers under your belt. Are you?
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I actually have no idea how to solve this pipe issue. There's just not enough room to solve it in the same place.
Yeah, so, you know, when you mentioned train earlier, the train stuff, this is what I was thinking about. It's like, I could build a whole new factory and just, like, solve the problem elsewhere. You know?
Yeah,
why not?
I mean, you could. Because I think deep down, you know that that's just gonna take a long time.
Yeah, fixing it in place is insane to consider.
Well, that's what I'll have to
Interesting.
do.
Oh, huh. There's a guy there. Well, I might actually use that.
Is it you?
There's a real bro in place. There. I'll put him there.
Alright, it's not going to be pretty, but I'll do it. And we'll see if this works. Frankly, it'll be kind of a miracle if it does. And I go one lower.
Oh, silly thing.
Wait, I can't. So then I need to take this, goes into there.
Oh. You know how you mentioned that steel pipes? I need like 2 more.
I'll have fun finding them. They're all
Yeah.
being used.
I am going to make...
Don't
polymer.
tell me you're gonna manually make them.
You can't make polymer manually.
No, I was saying steel pipes. Where'd you get polymer from?
I'm over my production.
Okay, but like polymer didn't show up anywhere in that conversation, so. Alright, let's first of all, here's what we need to do. When you're even splitting the steel pipes, we're not even making enough to be splitting them. What in the world are you splitting them to? Okay, that's ridiculous. You're splitting them over into this massive heavy modular frame thing.
Oh yeah, that thing can actually probably be stopped for the moment. You know, a little pause on it.
I'm just gonna delete this pipe. You don't need to be stealing pipes here. Go steal them somewhere else. I will, however, fix the stators. So the stators
Oh, we
will
have
have their
so
own.
many stators, it's not even necessary.
Yeah, but we don't need to stop them forever. And if I don't do this, then they're going to be stopped forever, like the heavy module frames are now. So, let's see here. This can go there. Steel pipes are now uninterrupted, and I have fixed the steel pipe problem.
Thanks.
You're welcome. It is not doing any favors to our base, though. On the bright side, it may be hard for you to notice because everything else is already spaghetti, so... It's difficult to pick out a few strands of new spaghetti out of a pile of old spaghetti.
Yeah, that's why that whole area kind of terrifies me.
Well, I'm building vertically, so...
As
Good
am
use of the
I.
vertical space.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to get another extractor going.
You know, I will say one good thing about this game. Because, you know, I'm always saying negative things, so I'll say something good finally. You don't have to debug your stuff very often. So that's kind of nice. And you just build it and forget it. It basically lends itself to making more spaghetti because you don't ever have to go back and look at it. Like, you know, with code, you put down spaghetti code and you have to go back and refactor it. You know, that's a big no one wants to do.
Yeah.
But with this, there is no going back to it. You just don't need to. I guess aside from, like, upgrading the conveyor belts, you don't have to upgrade the machines themselves, in other words. Which is nice. As long as they don't start making a Constructor Mark II, that actually would be pretty awful. You know, I could probably... It's kind of a crazy idea, but I could probably make a third steel pipe. Alright, I'll do that. Fine. I'll solve all the problems here.
Thanks.
I'll do a third steel pipe so that way the heavy modular frames can continue forever too. Now you might be asking yourself, well, why? And the answer is because if I do it now, I'll never have to do it in the future.
Crunch.
Also, this is going to be the newest highest point in this level of factory. That is a bad thing, despite what it may sound like.
I'm about to say, it's like, what can, you know, make him go up that much be good?
Yes.
What up can good come from that much? I'm starting to get to that point in the night where, like, the language processing center is just, like, starting to fall apart.
It's like 9 o'clock, man. You've been up for a full 12 hours?
I don't know anymore.
Work it that hard, huh?
Yeah.
Wait a second, you didn't even have work today, did you? Or no,
Yeah.
you're back. You're not back on the. You're back on the 5.
Yeah, I work
keep
remote on
forgetting.
Fridays regardless. Nobody's in the office on Fridays, so, like, why bother going in?
Yeah. It'd
Interesting.
be kind of messed up if they like forced you to go in and like you're literally the only person there. That'd kind of be like.
Okay, so here's a little funny thing. So typically, when you know, run in, it's like I usually see somebody in the management role of some kind, you know, some kind of, you know, supervisor of some sort. More times than not, I'm the first and only person in the office for maybe like the first 30 minutes to an hour every day. And it's like, oh, hey, we need you in the office because we want to see your face. It's basically like what they say, but obviously without that kind of wording.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that that's not actually happening.
Yeah.
Not
So
actually seeing your face.
it was just interesting because it was like Wednesday, HR manager, she rolls up and she's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow, yada yada. Thursday rolls around, no, she didn't roll up at all and didn't say anything about it. And it's not like, oh, I gotta be like not mad about it, but it's like, hey, what's like going on here? Why is everybody like on these like random inconsistent schedules and stuff? Like, why does like okay, it goes into the thing. It was also Wednesday that the other person who worked HR said, hey, we're going to go ahead and you know, every Monday we update Monday.com. We use that as like our main way to like, you know, do the you know, schedules and show who's where. Monday.com hardly ever gets updated, at least not to what I see. I don't see the updates that they claim that they're doing, because it'll be these cases where it's like, oh, we updated the schedule here, but then I looked at the schedule that very day, it still says I'm on site. I'm like, what the heck do you mean I'm on site? Nobody's on site right now in this category. It doesn't make a bit of sense why anybody would be saying this is stuff that's getting upgraded or updated if it's actually not. It's baffling to me that they managed to even operate. It really is.
Yeah, sounds like it.
It's bit and part of a nightmare of a situation.
Also sounds like that, yep.
Interesting.
It almost feels like they're lying to you. Because it's like, oh yeah, we want you to do this, you know, because of this reason. And then it's like, that reason is very obviously not the reason.
Yeah.
Like, what is the reason? Why do they want you in? It's because you're the new person? I mean,
I'm guessing.
why not say that? What is...
Yeah.
Do they want to just, like, tiptoe around? I don't get it.
And another thing that also kind of gets me is that, all right, I get it. If you're at the other office up there, you might, you know, benefit from being in, and it's not very difficult to get in. You know, it's a fairly low traffic area. And you could say, you know, like, oh, you know, the state of Ohio is more populated and so on and so forth and all that. But it really, it's just like the net population of things that cause the problem. Because the location that we're at with this office is in a really close to an adjacent metropolitan area. It's a big shipping space and all that. And it's like really difficult to get to. It's not easy. The traffic is not built up for this level. The infrastructure is not built up for this level of traffic and everything. And then it's like the same policies got to apply into the different locations, when it's like, well, I can see maybe you want to do that for, like, you know, for policies and procedures, but like in office policy really just can't follow that same line of thinking. It just doesn't really add up very well. So that kind of stuff, you know, kind of weighs in a little bit on the way I think about the situation and all that, is that they haven't really kind of got their ducks in a row, and they just kind of been backlogged again and again and again and again on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Another little funny thing is that Thursday when I was leaving, I left, you know, I usually leave around the same time to kind of in the attempts, in what became a vain attempt to stay ahead of traffic, and I just ended up sitting in the longest light section I've ever had. And that just happened to be the day that, you know, someone from HR didn't also go into the office. So
They didn't?
yeah, they didn't go in Thursday. Obviously, they don't need to tell anybody. Like anybody in the senior management positions, they don't need to tell they don't need to tell their supervisor that they get to work remote or stuff. And mind you, like it's the boss who really wanted me to you know, come into the office, because that's where he is, so he can help me out on things that I might need help with. And he's hardly ever in the office because he has to be on the road traveling for the most part. And that's just how that job works from his point of view. He just has to do it that way. So what also doesn't help is that the other software engineer who was in the office able to help me and everything has decided to leave. So I'm now going to be more times than not the only software guy in this location and all that, and I kind of can't say too much about it because then the thoughts are going to come up to them about sending me up to East Lake and stuff, but they don't even have the management or the seniors to be able to do the training with me hands-on. I'm basically working with one of the coworkers at my level, trying to get this one project done. It's like all I can focus on because it's the only thing I could do, the visual stuff I've been telling you about.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And so I talk with one of the guys who works in the shop. I sit with him at lunch because, like, you know, there's only 2 shop guys right now, and the manager of the shop, he goes out to eat every day for lunch, and it's crazy. But so I sit with the other guy, and he's got about 10 years on me. He's only in his 30s, but we have enough to talk about that we can be kind of we get enough work stuff and outside of work stuff that go over that we can build up conversation pretty easily.
Right.
And I was telling him, it's like, I don't really like to complain about work stuff, while at work especially, but he doesn't have anything positive to say either. I mean, he's in the position where, like, they're never going to ask him to travel, they're never going to ask him to leave the shop or anything, because he can basically run the whole show at the shop by himself. But that's just kind of the situation that he's in. But I'm not necessarily in that same kind of situation, just based on all the other things that go on around.
Right.
So I don't want to say it's like miserable, but not me necessarily, but like the office situation itself is kind of miserable. Just like never consistency, small group of people to talk to. No one is in the same type of job position that I'm in, and I don't really want to talk about it because I fear being put into unnecessary amounts of travel and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For like short periods of time that I may not do anything, because even the times when I have gone in the office, there's hardly been anything for me to do. It's like the managers are always in meetings and busy. Oh, what was
do
that?
they have like a schedule? So how do they know, or how do you know what you're doing on a day-to-day basis?
That's what Monday.com is for, is to give me that schedule and stuff. But it's not even hardly used in the way that they claim that they're doing it, So they claim that they're using it in all these ways and they're updating it and stuff. However, when I look at it, it doesn't reflect necessarily major updates. I don't know where certain projects sit in the things that I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know what I'm looking at sometimes, and I don't necessarily know if I need to be like doing this other task that I was originally doing before I started doing this visual stuff, because I haven't heard updates about it, and I try to reach out my manager where I can, but then I don't know like what I can get. I can't get time from him because he can't give time to his own projects.
That sounds like setting you up for failure, because it's going to look bad on you if you can't figure out the answer to that question.
Yeah, and so like I'm only working on this one thing to show proof that I have been doing some kind of work if I ever get that kind of grilling going on. So yeah, I just make sure I have those pieces of my schedule done and handled. So I feel like I'm doing my best. But that's just me personally saying that. But it's always different from a management point of view in those cases.
I mean, they don't get to see everything, so they're gonna judge you on what they do see, what little they do. It's like whatever criteria they choose to look at is gonna be what they judge you on.
So it bums me out all the time, and it's not like I don't want to talk about it. I feel like it's not going to get any better if I talk about it, or if I don't talk about it, it's not going to get any worse or better.
Right. Well, it may get worse, but not won't get better.
Yeah,
Unlikely to get better, that's for sure.
but I also feel like, you know, if I talk him out, maybe somebody will give some kind of advice at that point. It's like, what could I possibly do? I don't know. And nobody seems to have an answer for me, which is fair.
How many people have you asked that are in a position of management and not your coworker?
Oh, just coworkers? I guess
coworkers may not have an answer, but they may not have to. They may have never asked that question.
I guess
They're
it's
also
a
not
thing
in a
to
position.
consider. I haven't actually considered that, to be honest. I've only kind of partially brought things up like that, and then it's
Well,
like you get different answers from different people in different ways, but not in the full end-to-end kind of stuff.
I mean, your coworker. Whoa, what the heck? Okay, there's some needing to be fixed here in our steel pipeline. Ah, boy. Okay. Now I gotta pull out the calculator because ages. I think I calibrated the steel production to be like perfectly balanced. Okay, I did. I literally did that. It is perfectly balanced.
All right, Thanos, listen up.
Well, I'll do it again.
I'll do it again. It has like the weird goofy shaken meme.
Just 360 divided by 3. 12. Need 4 smelters. 4 more. Who knew that this game involved so much math?
You guys are doing math?
You're doing it right.
You're doomed. Doomed.
I may actually need to find a overclocker for the coal. I guess I'll see if the coal's maxed out at the end of these 4 smelters.
And but the one guy who ended up booking it, the only other senior in my little proximity, he's changing industries entirely, because I don't know if it's like I don't know the whole situation, but I did kind of you know, ask, hey, you know, it's like the travel, like he, you know, just had a kid and stuff. It's like, oh, is the travel thing kind of getting it to you? And he up to that point didn't ever mind the traveling, but he did say that, you know, having a kid impacts that decision of wanting to stay or not. So it seems like he's making that decision more for family stuff than anything.
So basically, everyone's gonna see that as not valid to you.
Yeah, no. Why don't we just send your boy out there? Because your boy doesn't want to do anything like this for a long period of time.
You don't have no kids or family.
Yeah, one thing that did come up though from the boss, my boss's boss, who actually is in the area, he did kind of hint at, you know, why I'm not sent out really much at all, and it was relative to the experience level and stuff.
Yeah,
so
I figured. That makes sense.
It seems like I might be in the clear with quotations, but it's in the clear in the same capacity that it's in the clear in the same capacity that I myself just don't have the what is needed out in the field.
Yeah, so you know it's in the docket. Oh my god, what kind of bug evolves a suicide bomb? That's stupid. They're blowing me up from 500 feet away. Oh, they're still spawning? Why are they traveling so far?
The apparently like one of the preview things showed like the suicide bugs had like a bigger, like a hive mother version that comes after you, but I don't think they implemented in the current build.
Thankfully, that's a stupid idea. What they should have is they should do something like Factorial where you get like bursts of enemies attacking your base or something.
Well, they explicitly said they didn't want a survival thing going on, so that's why the end of the mobs haven't really been evolved past their current state.
I was gonna say I don't want them destroying the base itself, but like attacking the player. It's like they kind of charge after the player. And yeah, okay,
well, that's what the
you could argue that that's some sort of some kind of survival, but
that's
really,
what our advanced settings and our creature hostility things do.
Doesn't spawn them to go after you. It just makes them harder to fight, harder and more annoying when you find them in the wild, which isn't what I'm looking for. I'm looking at something to like kind of break up the monotony of base building.
Yeah, that's why I would go out often, and why I wanted to, in this session, go out and do hard drive hunting. That is my way of actually breaking up the building monotony and the mental energy needed for it. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and put a pause to the circuit builders so we can actually just kind of store some plastic, because we got way more circuit boards than we'll need for the moment, and I'll leave the line there, but I'll just leave it paused.
Do you do that and then you never unpause them? It's always me unpausing them.
That's fine. I could live with this.
God dang it.
It's like, here's my magnum opus. It's all big and stuff. All it needs is this on switch turned on every now and again by that guy over there. And you're just like, you know, sit in the corner, make me turn that thing on.
More responsibilities, all that.
It's like, yes, that guy over there with that doctorate and that you know, those multiple research papers and a big factory, he's my janitor. That's the standard of janitor that I need.
Alright, so I got, let's see, I did 4 more smelters. So how many iron does that produce? 30 times 4, that's 120. I have 2 new smelters. Alright, so I can actually afford 1 new smelter, which is makes this a little more annoying to balance. Alright, gotta undo all this work. I have made a mistake. Can't filter all that iron.
I've made a mistake.
Yeah, it's filtering all that iron into just a measly 2 smelters, but now I have to balance it between 3. Which of course is stupid. But if you do this through a series of merges and splitters, you can merge them all into one line and then take that one line and split it into 3. Assuming the throughput is, it's probably fine.
So have you played that Medieval Dynasty anytime recently?
I mean, I played it probably 2 or 3 more times after we last talked. I'm kind of hitting like the end game, so it's like the end game of that game has a few flaws.
Oh. All right.
First of all, as fun as it may be, it's sort of the same loop over and over.
Ah.
And one of the things that I particularly enjoy about that game, and I mentioned this last time, but it's the money-making aspect. I really enjoy kind of struggling and then trying to make money. But there comes a point where you make pretty good money. And once you get to that point, it's like, well, what do you spend it on?
Yeah.
There's like vague upgrades you can get. Like, okay, you can unlock recipes. But you don't really need most recipes because if you have money, you don't need to make the thing yourself. You can just go to find a store and then buy it there. And so no need to make it, no need to unlock that recipe. The only real reason you may want to unlock that recipe at that point is if you want to sell the thing. But if what you're doing already makes you enough money, why do you need to unlock 20 different avenues of making like the same amount? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why do I need to unlock quilted vests for the winter if I don't need it for like temperature, which I don't, then the only reason to make quilted vests is then to sell them. But if you are making backpacks and they are probably very close or similar in like selling profit margins, there's really no reason to make quilted vests. So why bother even getting the recipe? And then the alternative is like you can buy horses and stuff, which I haven't done. That's like the next thing to do. It's like once you buy horses, which cost a significant amount, well, what do you do then? Okay, you got a horse, you can move around quicker. What's to buy after that? And there really is no answer to that.
All right. Yeah. So
it's just like, I mean,
yeah. I get it. It's one of those gameplay types where like once you hit that capacity, you no longer have that next thing you can go for because you're now at the end game.
Right. It's like hitting the end game of this game. There's going to be a point where we just have nothing else to build. There's no reason to keep playing.
Well, that's like where we just go to the point where we just keep making the bigger and bigger factories, and we just try to unlock all the stuff.
The whole reason we're making bigger and bigger factories is to build different things, but once we can build it all, there's no reason to keep going.
Aesthetics. A crazy train that goes across. It's one of those things that's like, becomes like a programming project, you know? You just gotta like aim for something crazy you want to do.
That will never stick for me.
Ah.
There are people who do the same thing for the Medieval Dynasty game. It's like, there's people who are like, oh, take a look at my 50-year village, and it's like, this just insane, well-built thing. And it's like, well, how many hours did you spend to do that? And it's like, you weren't getting any progress, so the enjoyment out of that was like pruning. It's like, at that point, it's like a bonsai tree. You're just pruning and cultivating it to look really good.
Ah.
Like, that is the fun to them. And to me, it's like, the fun is the money-making aspect, and once that becomes irrelevant late game, I don't have any more enjoyment.
You know, that you mentioned, that's basically one of the reasons why I stopped playing Subnautica. But it's like I got to that end game where it's like, oh, I gotta wait for the update to come out before I can, continue playing and stuff. And then it's like, oh, the update, hits, and I kind of already moved on to something else. Like, oh, I'll get to it this weekend. Oh, I'll play it whenever.
Desire's just not there anymore.
Yeah.
Not like it used to be.
And
That's
now, like, if I go back to it, I have to like relearn it from the ground up. It's like, what was I doing? Oh, I had the Cyclops thing, and like, oh, I was going into the temple thing, and that was like literally, it was like the last like story thing you could do before the next update needed to come out.
Yeah. I mean, if you wait long enough, though, then that becomes part of the fun, because you can relive a little bit of that. But you have to wait a sufficient enough time that you forget a lot of it. So yeah, that's kind of been how Medieval Dynasty is for me. So it's it was really fun at the beginning. Like, holy crap, that jump got me like a vice script, man.
It's interesting how some games like that are. Like, I know Subnautica was like that, and this game was a bit like that too, where it's like, oh, it just like it just snaps you right there, and then it's like, wait, what do you do after you get done with all the elevator stuff? Oh, it kind of just pauses. Oh, and then you have to like kind of be like, oh, you got to be driven to do your own thing next.
Which I can get that for like Minecraft, because Minecraft is like a lot of building, and I actually do enjoy the building aspect of that. But
Where this game, the building doesn't hook on the same way.
building in this game, I don't get to build a nice fancy home in this building. At no point do we do that. You don't do that in Medieval Dynasty either. You can build like template homes.
Ah,
In this game, you don't make a home at all. So,
yeah,
you know,
you just have a hub and you build around it. It's not technically a survival game.
like Minecraft, I built me a freaking castle and then, or a huge wall. Like Valheim, you've heard of Valheim, right?
Yeah.
Oh my, come on, game. This game really needs to fix it. Like, ignore the click junk that it does. I had to spam click like 20 times before it made that conveyor belt. Anyways, so Valheim had like a building system to it, and I actually enjoyed that quite a bit. That was kind of what kept me on Valheim for as long as it did, because it was like, I wanted to build a huge wall, because there were enemies that would occasionally attack me, so, you know, it'd be cool to have a huge wall for protection. So it's like, that's what I did, and it was pretty fun. But you don't get that in every game, because if you want to build a wall, I mean, first of all, the wall has to have a purpose. If it's just a wall for aesthetics, it's like, it doesn't really interest me as much. And if you can't like make the wall the way that you want to make it, in the style that you want to make it, and it's just like a template wall, it's still not as interesting. So all that is to say, if a game like this wants to cultivate me to the point where I want to like make my own goals, it has to have a very advanced building system. Star Made. Have you heard of Star Made?
If I have, it would have been through you.
Pretty old game at this point. I don't think it ever officially released.
Oh, it was one of those games, development hells sort of things.
Yep. Basically when Minecraft was getting really popular, Star Made came about. Star Made was supposed to be like Minecraft in space.
Ah.
You got to build really cool ships, and they did some really neat things, but they never had any gameplay. Like, literally, it's like you play the game and you build mining ships, and you mine planets, you sell the things that you mine, and then you use that to build a ship. Like, the game is building your ship at that point. Because there's nothing else to do. There's, like, no missions. There's hardly even trading. Technically, you can like buy resources in one space station, then go to another space station and sell them. Which, you know, it's a decent way to make money in that game, rather than mining. But it's like, everything's the same. It's like all planets are roughly the same. All the trading stations are literally the same template. They don't even look any different. There's no NPCs. I think there's like space pirates that are very rare. But they just kind of like chill in their base. They don't really chase you down. They don't really pose a threat. If you ignore them, then you could very well like avoid them for the whole game and then just never run into them. Like it's an avoidable issue. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, like the enemies in this game.
Exactly. Which, you know, as you know, I was saying, hey, something to like break up the monotony. So that game had a lot of monotony of all you do is build, but it still captivated me for a very long time because the advanced building that you can do on your ship was awesome. It was like building your own home in space, but then you could build like absolutely enormous ships. It was really cool. But again, that can only go so far.
Yeah, like all the eggs put into that one basket.
Exactly. It's like you need to have, like, to build a game loop, you're eventually just going to hit the end. There's an end to all games, you know?
Yeah, there's not too many games that after you beat it, the game, like the core feature of the gameplay can allow you to keep spinning around.
Well, especially single-player games anyways. Obviously, multiplayer games, you compete against other people, and that factor kind of makes the game different enough, like PlanetSide, for example.
Yeah,
Any game like that, so people can put like thousands of hours into it. And it's like
Yeah.
understandable because you're not doing the same thing over and over and over. You are, but in like a different way. You know what I mean?
And it is a
Because
bit of
you're
reason why those kind of games thrive in the industry today.
absolutely like obviously, and I'm gonna make the comparison here, but that's not to say that they're the same kind of game or even remotely similar. But in that like player-to-player aspect, like Fortnite, for example, or any of the Call of Duties or your League of Legends, you know, obviously they're not the same game, very different. But that player-to-player competitiveness is like that's what drives people to play it for so
Yeah.
long.
Because people are fairly naturally competitive in their nature.
Yeah, and they find it fun to beat people, and the enjoyment comes from that fact. Even after they've mastered everything, even if they have played the game so much that's practically like they do a checkbox action, like okay, start a game, then they already know the very first thing they do when they start a game. You know what I mean? Like they just
Yeah.
go down the list. Like it's only, in a way, fun in quotes because some people don't have fun doing that, but they do it anyways. But in a way, they can do that because of that player to player. It's like
And
when you
some-
do single player games, it's just not there.
And sometimes the fun of the game is the fact that you are with other people necessarily. Like, I obviously like probably wouldn't keep playing this game because there lacks other people to play with without like hunting down a group to join and stuff.
Yeah,
Without
right.
be participating in an existing community. And that in and of itself has its ups and downs.
By the way, good job on the plastic. See, it's backing up.
Yeah, because I paused it on that piece.
Oh, so you didn't actually add to it?
I got paused on adding to it. I.e.,
Okay. You're still making smart plating. I think that's the thing you could have turned off.
No, the smart plating is being used for the modular engines.
Did the game just crash?
Yes. Did you try to save anytime recently? Because
It would have been the autosave. Oh yeah, it definitely crashed. Yep. Let's see, what did it? What crashed us? Who's to blame? Is it me or you? Place your bets.
I don't know.
Exception, access violation, reading address. I think that's the null address. It's just a bunch of zeros.
Probably.
fggunbuild.cpp. Were you trying to build something?
Conveyors.
Darn, I was also building conveyors. So I guess we'll never know who did it.
I wonder.
It might actually not be a bad place to stop, to be honest. Maybe we could go in and wrap things up. Because we did, that was like...
I kind of was at a pausing spot. I was just trying
Yeah, but we might be like 3 minutes in the past. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You may want to go in there and redo those last few minutes.
Yeah, it's fine. If you want to roll it up real quick.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
One thing that it may have done it was that I deleted a conveyor that had modular engines on it and adaptive control units on it. I doubt it, but you never know.
I mean, it just said that it was the build gun, so I was going around building conveyors as well, so it could have just been, since I was in the base, you know how weird things get there.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if I covered over something. Oh wow, this is kind of far back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's up though. This is the latest save, unfortunately. This was when I just finished fixing the steel.
Oh.
Like I was already back at the base and everything, so this is a couple minutes back.
Really?
How bad is it on your side?
I'll wait until it pops in. It's still loading up.
I hope you weren't doing anything too constructive in the last few
I was
minutes.
fixing up. Oh, okay. That's not terrible. Kind of annoying though.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Where's the other guy? Where's the other guy? There should be another guy. Oh, he said it over here. Yeah, that's why. Basically, I was making some spaghetti to get the since the adaptive control units are done, I decided to go ahead and make the other manufacturer that was building those also do the modular engines. So that guy was the last thing I really did, and I was sorting out some of the important pieces. Did it crash again?
Nope. Nope, we're still going. Are you frozen?
No, it was just a little bit of lag.
You know, I kind of like how far up this initial tube is. Futurama tube is really behind there. Maybe one of the first ones to do it. If not the first one. Files music or something.
So I just kind of discovered some interesting visual thing. So if you're holding the boombox and you try to go scan for something, the scanner thing just pops up in the air by itself. It's there's no hand a part of the animation.
Using your telekinesis. You know, I am kind of surprised you look up the music for this game, because maybe I turned my music off or something, because I don't think I've heard music this entire time we played. Well, I have. It's like handful of times. Just been like very basic stuff. Yeah, no, my music's on.
Maybe it's just really quiet on your end.
You know, I wouldn't. It does say 50%, so that may actually be the case. So I got the game itself turned down in Windows, so you know I can hear you better. So maybe.
What is the next piece? Oh yes, I did those, so I could build more of that. So I got a good amount of plastic. I don't have any rubber, but all right. Trying to think here. I couldn't make one of those if I wanted to. Why'd I have so many computers in my inventory?
And why are you loading computers around? I think those are even used for anything.
Fuel generators.
Oh.
They take like 5 each. It's circuit boards that don't make sense why I would have on me. Wait, oh, it's Mark III poles that use circuit boards or whatever. Now they use the high speed connector. How has to keep track of all this stuff, you know?
Yep, that's how I feel. Man, I almost have enough conveyor belts or industrial beams to upgrade my steel conveyor belt. Almost.
Encased steel beams?
Yep. Yeah, that's what I said. Encased industrial beams. Industrial beam. You're the one who's saying it wrong. Wait a second.
I was seeing if you would notice.
It was you all along. Lead me down the wrong. Like, I already say advanced plates. All right, I don't need more incorrect verbiage.
I mean, why aren't we building enough drives?
You can't build hard drives. You have to find them. Right? You
That's a
can't build
deep
them,
cut
right?
to the work where drives are a thing. Nut.
That sounds like a joke only you, or a reference only you would have known.
True.
Who is that for?
Me.
At least you're honest.
That's where you get asked, do you feel proud with your less than acceptable joke or something? You know, some kind of like lightly demeanoring thing that sounds innocent, but it's actually quite harsh.
Chris, are you a masochist?
Well, you know, on the weekends.
That's a question you didn't actually have to answer. That was rhetorical.
Would you consider living, breathing, and existing masochist?
You know, some days.
You know, between the hours of 9 to 5, you know, Monday through Friday.
Those very specific and
Self.
strangely, mysteriously chosen hours. Yes.
It's like, you know how like those situations are. Like you could like walk into a room and you forget what you were doing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just like this game, when you walk over to a different sector, you forgot what you were doing entirely.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it's just like, yeah, you transform when you walk into this random building with people that sometimes you like and don't like, and all of a sudden you're a masochist. It's just like crazy what they call you these days.
Oh, there's a bottleneck that I wasn't even aware of. And I don't really know why. I thought that this was all balanced. So the steel that I've done earlier, that's all nice and balanced, but this other steel isn't. Yeah, I'm not really sure why. Okay, let me do the math real quick. 40, 40, 40, that's 120. Okay, so both sections are 120, but one section for some reason is missing iron. Why? Oh. Oh no.
Oh yeah.
I'm out of water on one of them, that's why.
Oh shoot! I just remember I need to do stuff with water here in a moment. How much longer did you want to be on?
Let me just like resolve this situation and then we can hop off.
Alright, I was just asking.
What the? It's the darn water extractor was throttled.
What do you mean?
It was just throttled. The clock speed was like 50%.
It's probably a leftover from earlier.
Yeah, I mean you're probably right. It's down here by the quartz. You didn't touch it while you were working on the quartz, did you?
If it was one of the first ones I worked on, then it was probably just like that when I originally got a hold of it.
Well, in any case, that's all it did. It's better than it needing an overclock anyways.
I will
I don't have any
say,
more.
Mark II pipes are kind of cool.
Hey, you know, I haven't even laid eyes on Mark II pipes.
Oh, I've been upgrading my area. They require plastic, by the way.
Oh, well. I mean, the throughput's pretty good. 300 meters squared a minute. It's usually more than I need.
What in the world? Oh. Oh, alright, that's good to know. What the? What? I decided to go ahead and... Oh, alright. I kind of like this. What am I supposed to use this one for? Must snap to a wall. How does this one get used? Oh. Oh, a wall. Okay. That would explain why I can't use that. I bought
All right,
some
so,
things.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I bought some pipe things out of the Awesome Shop, and I'm just putting them to use.
You know, like tier 3 pipes?
No, wall mount pipes and hole through wall pipes.
So you also have quarter pipe.
Quarter pipe?
It's like some sort of weird circular foundation. Ugh, circles. Gross. Everyone knows you're only supposed to do squares in the space.
Circumference.
I don't know what that word means, but what I do know is area.
I know that Columbus boy kept using that word circumference at some point. Fool. Now I gotta think. Unless you're gonna save me by the bell or something.
Oh yeah, let's go ahead and stop.
Oh,
I
phew,
can just
saved by the
finish
bell.
out, so. Hopefully next time I will remember what I was doing.
That's why I position myself in the area that I need to be like working on.
I thought about it, but I was just replacing pipes, so it's It's a toss-up on whether I'd even remember even
My
doing
boy
that.
be laying pipe.
We are at 46 hours and 8 minutes.
Neat.
Decent playtime.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, there was some of the nights where we went like 6 hours straight. It was one of the
Yeah,
more
I'm not
modest
up for
3
that tonight.
hours. I guess I'll go ahead and end the stream then.